Hollywood, starred as an agent. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction. So don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 101, Must Act in Advance. On Santa Monica Beach early in the morning, the spring air was crisp and pleasant. The Pacific breeze gently rustled the palm trees lining the shore. In the distance, waves rolled in, crashing against the sand, splashing white. Inside the hotel's vacation cottage, Jennifer Connelly emerged from the covers and lay on Aaron's chest, breathing heavily. Did you just tell me to keep an eye on Steve Jobs, the former CEO of Apple, not him, but his animation and special effects company, Pixar, the one he acquired from Lucasfilm a few years ago? Aaron smiled and rubbed the girl's body a few more times. A few years ago, Steve Jobs spent $5 million to acquire Pixar's animation division from George Lucas. He invested another $5 million to restructure it, establishing Pixar Animation Studios, in which he holds a 70% stake. Today, Pixar is a studio focused on computer animation, primarily specializing in advertising, logos, and special effects. It has also produced several animated shorts. The Little Lamp, Red Dream, Tin Soldier, and The Snowman's Big Move have garnered widespread acclaim. Aaron knew that Disney would soon be impressed by Pixar's technical prowess and would collaborate with him, so he wanted to acquire Pixar as quickly as possible. After all, Jeffrey Katzenberg had a keen eye for animation. Pixar, is it in the Bay Area? Jennifer Connelly asked. Yes, it used to be on the same campus as Lucasfilm, but now it's in Richmond, Alameda County, East Bay, between Berkeley and Oakland. After witnessing the astonishing profits of Disney's animated feature films, Aaron had already made up his mind to acquire Pixar outright. Furthermore, Pixar was currently operating at a loss, and with Steve Jobs focusing most of his attention on his next computer company, acquiring Pixar would be a piece of cake. Jennifer Connelly nodded. She was at Stanford anyway, so it was convenient for her to keep an eye on this company. With the arrival of April Fool's Day, the box office for Boys on the Hood had exceeded $30 million, while The City, which had opened a week earlier, had grossed $27.8 million. At the Rainbow Bar in West Hollywood, Aaron approached Jack Wells. You called me specifically, is there something? Jack Wells smiled and pointed to a private room in the back. Warren Beatty called several girls in tonight. It was Heidi Fleisch who handled it. That old guy just can't change his ways. He's up to no good again. Aaron shook his head. He doesn't have any works released now, and these things don't attract much attention from the media, unless it's like last time. Jack Wells took a sip of wine, and then his face fell. What should we do? We finally waited for this opportunity. Aaron spread his hands. What do you think? I originally wanted to expose him, but it seems to be of no use. Okay, let's drink first. Aaron sat down on the sofa. He was just a Warren Beatty. It was not worth wasting time now. Jack Wells nodded. I'll ask someone to visit his house and teach him a lesson. As he said that, Jack Wells pointed to a person not far away. Hey, that's Brad Pitt. I think you said his acting skills are pretty good. He is a very promising newcomer, right? Aaron also looked over. It was indeed Brad Pitt. Don't underestimate him. This guy is very powerful. He filmed Thelma and Louise and got together with actress Gina Davis. Besides, he had an unclear relationship with Mike Tyson's ex-wife Robin Givens before. And he even played with Tyson's wife in Tyson's Bed. Jack Wells widened his eyes with an incredible expression. It's true, he even dared to touch Tyson's wife. Aaron smiled. Okay, call him over for a drink later. Thelma and Louise will be released next month, and he played a supporting role in it. This movie is good. It will probably increase his reputation a lot. In the future, we should cooperate frequently. Actually, Brad Pitt's acting is pretty good, and his looks are also incredible. He was born to be an actor. Brad Pitt actually has a number of low-budget film projects lined up right now. A masterpiece script from a major director like Thelma and Louise is his chance. Brad Pitt already knew Aaron, and soon the two of them were drinking together. With the release of The Silence of the Lambs approaching, it caught Aaron's attention. At One Pictures, Aaron casually flipped through the newspaper. The Hollywood Reporter had a hilarious headline: Hollywood actor Warren Beatty's villa burglarized in Brentwood, nearly $1 million in cash, watches, jewelry, and collectibles stolen. Aaron rubbed his eyes. Jack Wells had just mentioned this a few days ago. Was the efficiency really that high? Aaron immediately stood up, left the office, and drove to the Angel Theater. Jack, was that you responsible for Warren Beatty's case? Aaron asked bluntly in the theater office. Jack Wells smiled. How is that possible? There are so many cameras in the villa. It was done by 3 black men. They were all wearing face scarves. They were dark anyway. Even if they were filmed, it would be difficult for the police to find them. Aaron leaned back in his chair. Warren Beatty lost so much? Will the insurance company claim compensation? How can it be so much? Jack Wells shook his head. I asked around and it's estimated to be only $500,000 or $600,000. It's hard to value collectibles. Don't worry, it's enough to make him suffer. When the police were investigating the scene at his house, they accidentally found a lot of drugs. It should make him very anxious. Aaron looked at Jack Wells. Next time, you can just have someone bring some contraband and leave it directly at the scene. Jack Wells twitched his mouth. The black men who did this are poorer than each other. If they had these things, they would have enjoyed them long ago. Besides, I had someone observe Warren Beatty's villa for several days first. Otherwise, how could those guys get in? Aaron touched his chin. You seem to know a lot of talents in various fields, including scavengers and private detectives. Next time, will you find a CIA or FBI agent or a transnational spy? Jack Wells rolled his eyes. Isn't it easy to get the FBI? Many private detectives have connections in this area. I really don't know the CIA and spies. This involves international business. Besides, it shouldn't be difficult for any useful private detective to sneak into a house that doesn't have much defense, right? Besides, I just ask someone to do some research and give the information to those black people. It doesn't matter even if I get caught. Chapter 102. It's so cool. At night, at the Montrose Hotel in West Hollywood, Aaron was invited to a cocktail party. Famous directors Francis Ford Coppola and Martin Scorsese, as well as actors Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, and Robert De Niro were all present. Are you sure this isn't a gangster convention? Aaron joked with Al Pacino. These guys were all regulars in Hollywood gangster films. Al Pacino smiled. The film he was filming, Bugsy, was indeed a gangster film. At this year's Oscars, Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas and Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather Part 3 both lost to rookie director Kevin Costner's Western Dances with Wolves. Well, Aaron, you're not bringing a woman with you. There are plenty of young women here. Aaron nodded. Jennifer Connelly had returned to school after spring break, and Nicole Kidman had her own things to do and wasn't currently in Los Angeles. Hey, that's director Coppola's daughter, Sofia Coppola, right? Aaron glanced at him. She won the Golden Raspberry Awards for Worst Supporting Actress and Worst New Star for The Godfather Part 3. What a blow. The Godfather Part 3 grossed $66 million in North America and $130 million worldwide, falling short of expectations. The media's criticism of director Coppola focused on nepotism, accusing Sofia, despite the film's disastrous performance, of favoritism. Al Pacino sighed and said helplessly, due to widespread media criticism, Sofia has decided to retire from film acting. Aaron nodded. That's right. Finding a career that suits you is the best. Aaron, you're both young people, perhaps you have more common topics, Al Pacino said, patting Aaron on the shoulder and walking away. Common topics? Aaron smiled. Sofia Coppola's looks were completely lacking. She held no appeal for him at all. Winona Ryder. Aaron saw that actress Winona Ryder had also arrived at the cocktail party. Hi, Winona. Good evening, Aaron. Good evening. Winona Ryder took the initiative to hug Aaron and kissed him on the cheek. Thank you for last time. It's okay. Aaron shrugged. You and director Coppola. Everyone knows that Winona Ryder and director Coppola had a disagreement because of the temporary replacement of the supporting actress in The Godfather 3. Winona Ryder smiled and said, nothing. There is a script adapted from Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. When the original director and I discussed it, he gave it to director Coppola. He seemed interested in developing it and directing it. Dracula. Aaron remembered it. It was the movie Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. The release of Edward Scissorhands not only received positive reviews, but also grossed $56 million in North America and $86 million worldwide. Winona Ryder is now undoubtedly one of the top young actresses. Has Francis Ford Coppola and Winona Ryder reconciled? Is Francis Ford Coppola actually looking to collaborate with Winona Ryder again? Are you planning to work with director Coppola on Dracula? Winona Ryder nodded. Director Coppola thinks I'd be a good match for the lead role, and Zoetrope Films has already started developing the film. Zoetrope Films is the film production company founded by Francis Ford Coppola. The Godfather Part 3 performed very poorly, which had little impact on Francis Coppola's financial situation. Aaron can understand why he's rushing to develop new projects. Have you decided on the investment and distribution partners? Coppola certainly has no shortage of works. Winona Ryder shook her head. That's unclear. Director Coppola and Paramount have always had a close collaboration, so it could be Paramount, because it was still just the script stage. Winona genuinely didn't know much about it, and she was just an actress, so she didn't need to think too much. Aaron, are you interested? Winona Ryder knew that Aaron was also a filmmaker, having invested in and produced several films. I'm definitely interested in Coppola's work, but Dawn Pictures doesn't have much funding right now. Besides, I already have 2 or 3 projects in the works. Aaron was indeed interested in Coppola's Dracula, but he had to prioritize his own projects. Besides, Aaron had a lot planned for this year, and he had a lot of money to spend. Really? You're amazing. Aaron glanced at Winona Ryder. Actually, I'd like to invite you to guest star in my next project, with Mr. Al Pacino. There's a beautiful woman dancing tango with Mr. Pacino in it, and I think you'd be perfect. Dancing tango with Mr. Pacino. Aaron nodded. It's an adaptation of the Italian play Scent of a Woman, with Al Pacino playing a retired blind military officer. There's a key scene where the blind officer dances tango in a hotel lobby, and I need a beautiful actress with a nice figure, but it's still early. I'll show you the script first, okay, Winona Ryder said, though she didn't agree outright. But if the role wasn't too problematic, she was willing to help. Dracula, that's interesting, Aaron pondered after Winona Ryder left. Not long after, Aaron left West Hollywood and drove to Sun Valley in North Hollywood, Salma Hayek's neighborhood. Aaron, you're here, Salma Hayek said, delighted to see him. She hugged him tightly. Yeah, all right, let's go have a drink. Aaron patted the woman in his arms and then went into a Mexican barbecue bar. Salma Hayek kissed Aaron on the cheek. It's a very Latin American atmosphere. Doesn't it feel different? Aaron smiled, took a sip of his beer, and glanced at the crowd around him. The men were rugged, the women were voluptuous. Are there a lot of Mexicans here in Sun Valley? Yeah, quite a few. There are a lot of Latin American restaurants and bars nearby. A moment later, Salma Hayek leaned over to Aaron's ear and whispered, "There's a great show?" Aaron stared intently at the stage. Sure enough, a sexy Latina woman, a large golden python wrapped around her neck, slowly walked onto the stage. Cool. Great. Aaron clapped his hands. This was Wild Beauty. Mexican folk music played, and the sexy woman danced with a golden python. It was both beautiful and exciting. Salma Hayek sat in Aaron's arms, hugged the man's neck, and said, "Actually, I can do it too." Really? Well, as he said that, Aaron kissed the girl in his arms directly on the lips. Chapter 103. Am I doing this to make money? In the early morning, Aaron woke up in bed with Salma Hayek in his arms. The Los Angeles sunlight streamed into the room through the cracks in the curtains. Are you awake, Aaron? Salma Hayek lay in the man's arms, her face flushed. Aaron rubbed his eyes. Last night, it seemed a bit crazy. The bar, the car, the sofa, the bathroom, and finally back to the bedroom. I've seen Boys in the Hood. I think it's well made and the reviews are great. Aaron stroked the woman's 3060. Dawn is shooting a romantic film this year. You can play a small supporting role and show your face. My film isn't one of those low-budget, shoddy little projects. It's about $20 million. Salma Hayek hugged the man tightly. I can't even get roles in TV movies right now. A lot of people say there's no role for Latinos like me in Hollywood. TV movies are made specifically for television and videotapes, not theaters. Their main attraction is their low cost. Mexican? Wait, there's a chance. Aaron had to help Salma Hayek find a role so she could join the Screen Actors Guild. Yeah, Salma Hayek said, then snuggled into bed. On April 12th, The Silence of the Lambs premiered at the Amphitheater on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. Director Jonathan Demme attended with Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, and others. Jodie Foster is arguably America's national goddess, her popularity is immense, and the red carpet was packed with media and fans. "Nicole, you look so beautiful tonight." Aaron kissed Nicole, then put his arm around her waist and watched the crew being interviewed. "Seeing you look so confident, I feel relieved," Nicole Kidman suddenly asked. "Wasn't Jack with you just now? Where did he go?" "Well, after Jodie Foster finished her interview, he went backstage to see her." Aaron shook his head. That's all he could do. A little later, after Aaron finished chatting with the Silence of the Lambs producers Ronald Bosman and Edward Saxon, he ran into Mike Medver. "Aaron, Samsung has 1,500 theaters planned for the opening of The Silence of the Lambs," Mike Medver said with a smile. Aaron nodded, but inwardly he was muttering about the 2,000 theaters Warner Brothers had planned for Steven Seagal's action film, For Justice, The Silence of the Lambs. The director tells a brilliant story, the actors perform vividly, giving the audience both psychological and physical stimulation. "Don't worry, Samsung was definitely the right choice to release The Silence of the Lambs," Aaron said, then thought, "Has Spielberg's hook ramped? All filming is complete, and the movie is in post-production." For Samsung Cinema, the most important film of the year is, of course, the Carlock-produced Terminator 2, Judgment Day, which opens on Independence Day. "Why, do you have a project you want to work on with Spielberg?" Aaron thought for a moment and said, "I heard from someone at CAA that director Spielberg wants to make a film about the Holocaust. You know, I have always been pursuing world peace and paying attention to human rights. After hearing this news, I think if director Spielberg really wants to shoot it, I can do my part." Mike Medver looked at Aaron. "I think you are talking about the project Schindler's List. Universal doesn't want to shoot it, but Spielberg is willing to help them direct the science fiction film Jurassic Park, so they shouldn't refuse him. If you want to support the project Schindler's List, they will definitely be very happy." Mike Medver was very clear about the past of the project Schindler's List. Universal bought the script for Spielberg a long time ago, but Spielberg never directed it. He served as a producer and had contacted Jewish directors such as Roman Polanski and Billy Wilder, but it didn't happen. Later, he signed a directorial contract with director Martin Scorsese, but last year, Spielberg wanted to direct the film himself and changed his mind. So, at the suggestion of CAA's Michael Ovitz, Steven Spielberg gave Martin Scorsese the remake project Cape Fear, a collaboration between Amblin and Universal, and cast Robert De Niro in the leading role, in exchange for the directorial rights to Schindler's List from him. Although Martin Scorsese didn't want to direct the remake, producer Spielberg negotiated a generous director's share for Cape Fear, so he agreed. Cape Fear? I know. It seems to be still filming and should be wrapping soon. Aaron had met Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro at a cocktail party in West Hollywood a few days ago. The two had just finished working together on The Bad Guys and were working on Cape Fear right away. Robert De Niro is indeed Martin Scorsese's favorite leading man. Thanks, Mike. In that case, Aaron could just invest directly. Mike Medver smiled. That's a bit much for you. Dawn was just a small film company, and Mike Medver felt that Aaron Anderson's support for this film was simply a way to curry favor with Steven Spielberg. Could a Holocaust memorial have any commercial value? Aaron licked his lips. Mike, movies aren't just commercial products, they should also embody values and responsibilities. Am I doing this for the money? I'm doing it for art, responsibility, and values. Fortunately, Martin Scorsese wasn't directing. Aaron had a bad impression of him as someone who liked to play with gangster films, and he really couldn't handle commercial elements. The American documentary gangster biography Goodfellas grossed less than $50 million worldwide. If he had directed Schindler's List, Aaron wouldn't have dared to invest. Gangster films have always been a staple of Hollywood. Martin Scorsese is certainly renowned, but he doesn't have an Oscar to his name. Mike Medver smiled, saying nothing, and simply patted Aaron's arm. Steven Spielberg is currently busy with the post-production of his own film, Hook, while also focusing on other projects he's producing. Meanwhile, preparations for the sci-fi blockbuster Jurassic Park can't be stopped. After all, it's his most important project. Aaron knows Spielberg won't have time to direct Schindler's List this year, but he hopes to do it later, ideally after the release of Ghost. With The Silence of the Lambs opening in 1,496 theaters across North America, it grossed $13.76 million over its first 3 days. Warner Brothers' new film, For Justice, released the same day, only grossed $10.52 million. However, The Silence of the Lambs received rave reviews upon its release, departing from traditional horror films and earning widespread acclaim from critics and media. Chapter 104. Now is the honeymoon period. Burbank, Warner Brothers. Studios headquarters, co-CEO Terry Semmel's office, along with production president Mark Kenton and chief operating officer Barry Meyer. The preparations for Batman Returns are complete, and director Tim Burton and lead actor Michael Keaton will continue to participate. The actress who will play the heroine Catwoman has been confirmed to be Michelle Pfeiffer, Mark Kenton reported on his work. The budget for the sequel Batman Returns is $80 million. Terry Semmel noted, yesterday at the door of the company, that Sean Young was wearing a low-quality Catwoman costume and roaring loudly. What was the reason? Mark Kenton shrugged. In the previous Batman, she was originally the heroine, but she was injured during training, so we replaced her. Kim Basinger took over her role, and then became very popular, which caused Sean Young to feel unbalanced, and he went crazy and asked us to let her play Catwoman to compensate her. Just don't affect Batman Returns. Terry Semmel would not care about such things. Then he looked at Barry Meyer and put down a report in his hand. Sony's The Silence of the Lambs took in $12 million at the box office in the second weekend, an accumulative total of $31 million in 10 days. Our For Justice only took in $7 million at the box office in the second weekend, an accumulative total of $21 million in 10 days. Also, last month, the black film Boys and the Hood released by Sony had a cumulative box office of $45 million, while Are the City only took in $37 million. These two works are both produced by a newly established new independent film production company. Right, yes, the boss is a young man. He produced last year's Phone Booth. Barry Meyer explained, he is Aaron Anderson, a newcomer who transformed from a CIA agent. He has a very accurate vision. In June, he also has a fantasy romance film released by Sony, which will be released at the same time as our Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Terry Semmel knocked on the table and glanced at Mark Kenton. If we have the chance, we'll negotiate an exclusive deal with him. Warner Brothers can definitely support his film projects. I'll try, but he's in the honeymoon phase with Sony right now. Mark Kenton had no choice. After Sony acquired Columbia TriStar, the prospect of waving a dollar bill was too tempting. Meanwhile, after the merger of Time and Warner Communications, the two co-CEOs were engaged in serious internal strife. Although Steve Ross of Warner was now in sole control, N.J. Nicholas of Time Incorporated openly opposed Ross's ideas. Warner Brothers, as a subsidiary and the backbone of the Warner family, was inevitably affected. Terry Semmel and Bob Daly jointly managed Warner Brothers, and the pressure was considerable. Furthermore, Steve Ross had been diagnosed with prostate cancer a few years ago, and he certainly didn't have much time left. If Steve Ross died, Time Warner would undoubtedly be plunged into turmoil. In its third weekend, The Silence of the Lambs grossed another $10.6 million, while For Justice only took in $4 million. Its overwhelming popularity has made The Silence of the Lambs the most acclaimed horror film ever. Throughout the spring season, the best-performing films, aside from New Line's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Age of Ultron, were Sony's dawn releases. Sony's other concurrent releases, The Gate and Fatal Minds, underperformed expectations. That evening, at the Culver Hotel, Columbia hosted a celebration for Boys and the Hood, celebrating its $50 million box office success. Although Boys and the Hood had gone over budget, its budget was only $5.5 million. Director John Singleton and leading actors Cuba Gooding Jr. and Ice Cube were in attendance. In attendance were Columbia Pictures president Sidney Guinness and Sony Pictures co-CEO Peter Guber. Aaron, if you keep up this excellent work, Hollywood will soon have a place for you. Peter Guber and Aaron Anderson clinked their glasses. Peter Guber and John Peters jointly oversaw Sony Pictures Entertainment, but compared to John Peters, known as the Barber, Peter Guber appeared far more professional. The success of Batman was largely due to Peter Guber, who clearly looked down on John Peters. Aaron smiled and took a sip of his wine. Maybe soon, yeah, summer's almost here, and I'm looking forward to Ghost even more than ever. The horror film The Silence of the Lambs had grossed $45 million in its first 3 weeks and continued to garner positive reviews. Not only was Ghost a project that won priority, but with Kevin Costner as the lead actor, how could it not be exciting? A short while later, Aaron spotted Peter Guber chatting with John Singleton in a corner lounge area of the banquet hall. "Aaron, come on, Have a drink. Sidney Guinness walked over, a look of joy on his face. Aaron retracted his gaze. Ghost is coming out in just over a month. The summer competition is fierce, so you'll have to put in some effort. Don't worry, the current promotional budget for Ghost is $15 million, and we can increase it later. Sidney Guinness acted very generously. After internal discussions, Sony approved the marketing plan. Even the Silence of the Lambs promotional costs exceeded $10 million, let alone the romantic film Ghost. Not only did Dawn have the confidence, but the lead actor, Kevin Costner, was also worth the investment. That's good, said Aaron, who had Brad Gray closely monitoring Sony's distribution and marketing expenses. He wouldn't stop Sony from earning what it deserved, but he certainly couldn't repeat the mishandling of the accounting practices of 20th Century Fox. News corporations own television stations and newspapers certainly make accounting easier, but Sony's American management isn't interested in saving money for Japan. Last year's losses were devastating for Sony. Sony Pictures Entertainment's main external face is Peter Guber. John Peters, plagued by scandals and a Hollywood laughingstock, is likely nearing the end of his time at Sony. By the way, you're collaborating on another romance film with Samsung, right? Sidney Guinness smiled. Are there any other suitable projects? Columbia has a library of films and scripts, so you can choose any, or you can write your own script. Columbia will greenlight your project, and then we'll invest a percentage of it. Aaron nodded. That was the rule of the game. Given Dawn's performance, it was natural for Columbia to want to invest, but Aaron Anderson's production costs would be exorbitant. As for the new project, let's talk about it after Ghost is released. As long as they have their own funds, Dawn has no shortage of distributors. Not to mention that Aaron has been eyeing Heritage Entertainment. Look at Castle Rock and Carlock. They also don't have their own distribution channels, but they all raise funds for their projects on their own. Chapter 105 Why not hang the black man? With the arrival of May, Hollywood has entered its summer movie season. The Los Angeles sun remains blazing, heralding a sizzling summer season. In the evening, Jack Welch and Aaron Anderson walked out of the Angel Theater together. What a bunch of bastards. They're treating the theater like a hotel room. Okay, business is good. Aaron, dressed in a white t-shirt, stretched. The Angel Theater has been doing very well in the past few months since opening. Despite Jack Welch's complaints, Aaron shrugged them off. Oh, of course. What are we going to eat? Aaron rubbed his stomach. There was an Italian pizza place not far away. Let's go there. We're neighbors, so we have to take care of their business. Okay, I'll go buy some cigarettes. The Korean supermarket next door is also our neighbor, Jack Welch said, and ran to the small supermarket on the other side of the theater. Soon, the two arrived at a nearby pizza shop and ordered 2 pizzas. As Jack Welch ate, he said, Ice Cube held a meet and greet at the theater last time, and it was quite successful. I never thought Boys on the Hood would do so well at the box office. It's related to the Rodney King incident. The black community is very excited now. Fuck, boss, why are there no pictures of us black celebrities on the walls of this pizza shop? Only a bunch of white people. Yeah, do you look down on our black brothers? Are you discriminating against us? In the quiet pizza shop, 2 black people who had just entered ordered pizzas and immediately started shouting when they saw that there were no pictures of black people on the walls. Aaron looked up and saw that there were indeed some celebrity photos and movie posters on the wall. He immediately saw a picture of Al Pacino in The Godfather. The owner behind the counter just glanced at him. Why? Because this is my pizza shop. I can hang up whoever's picture I want. Bang! The black man glared at the man and pounded on the table. Fuck. How dare you racially discriminate against your fellow black people? We won't tolerate that, the white Italian owner retorted. When you open your own shop, you can hang up whatever you want. You can even put up your own pictures, your parents, your stepfathers, your stepmothers. Fuck. You bastard. The 2 black men started yelling at the owner. Your pizza burned my lip. Pay for the medical bills. With that, they threw their pizzas, cursing non-stop. Bang, fuck. You, let go. Jack Welch slapped one black man, and Aaron kicked the other. Fuck. Jack Welch was so furious that the pizza he had just thrown landed in his pizza box. He tugged at the man's sausage-shaped mouth with his fingers. You son of a bitch, are you burned? You keep talking non-stop. Can't you just be quiet for a minute? Ugh, you too. Bang. Just as the other black man on the ground was about to get up and fight back, Aaron kicked him again and grabbed him by the hair. You bastards, You're so arrogant, so idle, and so troublesome. I just want to eat a pizza quietly, and you have to disturb me. Wow, the counter owner said, his eyes widening. He walked out of the counter with a baseball bat in hand. Hey, do you need my help? No, Aaron said, watching the owner stare at the black man fiercely, the baseball bat clenched tightly, as if ready to strike him down at any moment. Aaron grabbed the black man's hair and dragged him out of the pizza shop, screaming. Jack Wells looked over and saw that the black man in front of him was bald. Fuck, why don't you have long hair? He slapped him twice more and dragged him out by the shirt. So violent, the pizza shop owner wiped his sweat. There was no need to call the police. Those two white guys were incredible, they should teach these idle black people a lesson. In the alley outside, Aaron Anderson and Jack Wells looked down at the two black men squatting on the ground with their heads in their hands. Their bruised faces and noses suited them perfectly. A bunch of people who don't read. They spend their days drinking and going crazy, robbing and taking drugs. They're completely lazy. All they do is go out on the streets and ask why I don't have a job? Why don't I have any assets? Fuck, Aaron cursed, and Jack Wells kicked them, causing the two men on the ground to scream. Get out of here. Next time you see us, the Fairfax Jewish gangsters, make sure to avoid us, otherwise, we Jews will sell you black people $500,000 a loaf of bread. Aaron breathed a sigh of relief, and the two black men, supporting each other, staggered away down the alley. Aaron, why are we Jews in Fairfax? Do we look Jewish? I'm used to it. It doesn't matter, Aaron said, knowing it was the same way all along. You'll believe it. These people have heads the size of walnuts. As the two returned to the pizza shop, the owner had already prepared two new pizzas. It's my treat. Aaron took the pizzas and said, thank you. Jack Wells, who was standing nearby, put a $20 bill on the table and left with Aaron. Aaron now understood why the black riots were taking place. It was truly unreasonable. Even an Italian restaurant dared to do this. Other Asian restaurants and stores would probably be even worse. No wonder the Koreans would retaliate with guns. There are quite a few Korean Americans in Los Angeles now, especially in Koreatown, and most of them run shops and small supermarkets. After returning to the Angel Theater, the two went straight to the office. Jack Wells munched on his pizza, but he looked worried. Recently, black people seem to be getting more and more lawless. Aaron curled his lips. After all, there's discrimination against them for 100 or 200 years. It's unavoidable. Just look at Los Angeles. They are the poorest. The richest people on average are Asians. Immigrants already have some assets and are quite hard-working. Blacks and lower-class whites are lazy and stupid. They always want to get something for nothing. Especially the large number of lower-class blacks who gather together to cause trouble. Jack Wells nodded. Our place is not bad. The frequency of police patrols is relatively high, and the proportion of blacks is not bad. The worst hit areas are South Central and South, such as Southgate, Linwood, and Compton, which are standard black communities. By the way, set up a security company as soon as possible. If the theater's income is not enough, I will continue to support you. Aaron is about to become a billionaire. Security issues cannot be ignored. Jack Wells blinked. Don't worry. Chapter 106 You Can't Play. The Silence of the Lambs reputation continues to grow, and box office revenue is steadily rising. Both Sugan and Samsung have reaped the benefits. The only one feeling the pinch is undoubtedly the original producer, Orion Pictures, who had previously sold the film The Addams Family to Paramount for $22 million. Because The Silence of the Lambs received rave reviews from numerous newspapers and magazines, several Hollywood distributors approached Sugan Pictures, hoping to secure an exclusive distribution agreement. The terms are similar, a 10% to 12% distribution commission, priority investment rights, and so on. Thomas Gray smiled. Aaron waved his hand. There's no rush now. We can handle domestic distribution ourselves. By the way, Orion must be deeply regretting this, right? Dances with Wolves has grossed $170 million in North America since its release, effectively giving Orion a boost. If The Silence of the Lambs hadn't been sold, it would have seen another surge in profits. I definitely have regrets, but there's nothing I can do. Their creditors need to be appeased. Right now, the number of titles released by Orion has clearly decreased. Aaron simply smiled at Brad Gray's words. Ghost opens next month. Columbia said they've increased the marketing budget. Arrange for the crew to cooperate with the promotion. Afterward, Aaron made a special trip to the San Francisco Bay Area to prepare for his meeting with Steve Jobs. That evening, at the Hyatt Regency San Francisco, Jennifer Connelly came to Aaron's room. Aaron stood by the window, admiring the night view of the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge. "Are you staying in the Bay Area this summer?" Jennifer Connelly nodded. "I'm participating in a school play this summer, performing at several theaters here. Why, do you want me to go back with you?" Jennifer Connelly walked over to Aaron and hugged him. "That's not necessary. It's also good for you to participate in stage plays. Besides, you have to go back next month to participate in the promotion of The Rocketeer." Aaron pulled Jennifer Connelly into his arms. The Rocketeer will be released a week later than Ghost. Yes, Boys on the Hood and The Silence of the Lambs, released by Dawn, did very well at the box office. "I think Ghost won't be too bad either," Jennifer Connelly said, looking up and kissing Aaron. Aaron smiled inwardly. When he encountered a movie like Ghost, there was really nothing he could do. "By the way, Aaron, I've heard about Pixar, and it's indeed been losing money. Pixar's focus is now on computer animation technology, and they're abandoning hardware. Currently, the advertising and special effects business isn't enough to support their growth. If you acquire Pixar, you'll have to be prepared for losses." "Don't worry, I have plans," Aaron said, caressing the woman's 34D. "Tomorrow, come with me to Oakland to meet Steve Jobs." The next day, Aaron Anderson and Jennifer Connelly met Steve Jobs near Lake Merritt in Oakland. At 36, Jobs looked quite youthful, not even bald yet. "Mr. Jobs, good afternoon. This is my friend Jennifer Connelly." In a restaurant, Aaron quickly met the future ruthless figure. "Good afternoon," Steve Jobs politely greeted them both. "Mr. Anderson, why did you come all the way from Los Angeles to see me?" "Call me Aaron. I have a Dawn film production company in Hollywood, and The Silence of the Lambs, which is now in theaters, is a product of Dawn. I asked you out because Dawn wants to enter the animation industry, and I want to acquire Pixar." Aaron was very direct. "Steve, your focus now is to develop next computer company. Pixar is a burden to you." Steve Jobs shook his head. "I acquired Pixar because I saw the technological development of computer animation. There will be a big market in the future." Aaron smiled and shook his head. "You mean, Steve, are you going to shoot your own animated feature film?" "Pixar can cooperate with Hollywood, I know. I heard that Disney has the idea of hiring you to develop animated feature films. Disney is now in its heyday and is the overlord of the animation industry. How much do you think Disney will care about Pixar?" Aaron took a sip of coffee and then pointed at himself. "I'm different. I'm a talented producer in Hollywood. Dawn has the funds to support Pixar in developing its own animated feature films. You can't, and you can't do it. Even if Pixar wants to get funds from Disney to develop its own animated feature films, it will be difficult. I'm interested in Pixar because some of the animated shorts Pixar has produced are pretty good, but it doesn't have to be Pixar. If I spend a little more time, I can set up an animation studio myself, but it will just waste some time." Steve Jobs looked at Aaron. "So what do you mean? $30 million US? I want Pixar. Even if Pixar fails, at least I can give them the opportunity to make animated feature films. The future is the age of computers. The current stop-motion animation or dynamic animation will not be mainstream." $35 million. "Disney did contact me and wanted to sign a commission production agreement for animated feature films with us. $40 million US. Aaron stared at Steve Jobs. "A one-price offer. If you refuse, I will immediately acquire another animation special effects company and then hire Pixar's managers and other technical personnel at a high price. Don't doubt my determination. I can give them much more than you want." Instead of becoming a puppet of Disney Animation, I think they would rather develop animated feature films for themselves. An animated feature film costs tens of millions of dollars to produce, and it also has to be distributed. Which company in Hollywood do you think has the courage to do that?" Steve Jobs laughed. "It sounds like you mean to compete with Disney. Well, that's fine. The profit of one of my movies is tens of millions of dollars, and it will reach hundreds of millions in the future. A loss of tens of millions of dollars is not too important to me." Aaron looked relaxed. "Just like The Silence of the Lambs, the box office is bound to exceed 100 million, and with videotapes and TV broadcasts, I can earn at least $50 million US in revenue. Next computer company's profit in recent years is not even as much as the income from one of my movies. Besides, do you think I will only release one movie a year?" "Aaron, although I don't understand Hollywood, no one can win all the time." "Steve, Since I became an agent, there hasn't been a single movie I've handled that didn't make a profit. Chapter 107 Cash is King. Pixar's losing millions of dollars every year now. Are you really going to buy it? Jennifer Connelly was puzzled after returning to the hotel that evening. Well, there are some talented people at Pixar, but I don't think Steve Jobs wants to sell. He wants to partner with Disney. Aaron shook his head. Don't want to sell? He's tired of losing money, he just wants a higher price. Partner with Disney? Disney will just eat him up. Besides, now that I'm involved, he doesn't have a choice. He's already busy running Next, so how can he care about Pixar? Now Steve Jobs is just a lost cause after leaving Apple. The hundreds of millions of dollars he lost in selling Apple shares have been spent. By the time he returns to Apple and develops a smartphone, who knows when? Give him some time to think about it. Pixar's not going anywhere. Even if he refused to sell, Aaron could easily buy out the remaining 30% stake. Then, with his own capital, he could inject capital to dilute Jobs' stake. Pixar was valued at $40 million, and Aaron didn't think anyone else would retain their shares. Early in the morning, Aaron, cuddling Jennifer Connelly, was awakened by the ringing of his cell phone. Boss, it looks like someone's looking to acquire Legacy Entertainment. Legacy Entertainment, who? Aaron sat up immediately. This was his long-held target. Samuel Gwyn Pictures. Okay, I got it. Aaron's sleepiness vanished. Samuel Gwyn I was interested in Legacy Entertainment? He must be after Landmark Cinemas and wanted to expand Samuel Gwyn Pictures' distribution channels. What's up, honey? Jennifer Connelly also sat up, revealing her voluptuous figure. It was incredibly alluring. Aaron, however, wasn't in the mood. He'd just taken action against Pixar, and now someone was trying to snatch up his own interest in Legacy Entertainment. Nothing, I need to get back as soon as possible, Aaron said, hugging the woman and kissing her. Pixar and Legacy Entertainment were both assets Aaron valued highly. Now, one was planning a partnership with Disney, while the other was being acquired by Samuel Goldwyn Films. Upon returning to Los Angeles, Aaron immediately learned the details. You mean Guy Martin is going through a divorce and needs cash? In the Dawn Pictures office, Aaron leaned back in his chair and curled his lips. Jessica Parker nodded. Legacy Entertainment's business isn't great either. It's perfectly normal for Mr. Martin to want to sell. Dawn, Polygram, and Legacy Entertainment's collaboration, My Own Private Idaho, had also been completed and was currently in post-production editing. They wouldn't be able to attend the upcoming Cannes Film Festival, but they would be attending the Venice Film Festival later this year. So, Dawn had a pretty good idea of Legacy Entertainment's situation. Okay, I'll go talk to Guy Martin first. You'll handle Pixar. I've met with Steve Jobs and are planning to acquire Pixar Studios for no more than $40 million. Aaron only had two things going on simultaneously, both of which were important. Jessica Parker was Sugan's CFO. Then I'll get in touch with Sony as soon as possible and have them transfer the film's revenue share. Aaron quickly flew to New York to meet with Guy Martin of Legacy Entertainment. Manhattan, Times Square, Landmark Theater. Aaron, you want to acquire Legacy Entertainment? Guy Martin looked at Aaron Anderson, who was sipping coffee on the sofa, a look of surprise on his face. Well, I want to get into the film distribution business. Aaron had nothing to hide. Although Legacy Entertainment was a small distributor, owning an art house theater chain suited his needs perfectly. Guy Martin knocked on the table. Over there, Mr. Samuel Gwyn is also interested in heritage entertainment. Of course, what he values must be Landmark Cinemas. Aaron smiled. Dawn will acquire the assets of Heritage Entertainment. As for Landmark Cinemas, you can continue to run it, and you can also retain part of the equity of the cinema. What I want is the film distribution channel. The main guarantee of Heritage Entertainment's distribution channel is the Landmark Cinema chain. Moreover, Jack Wells is good at running the Angel Theater, so he can ask him to assist Guy Martin in managing Landmark Cinemas. You should understand that I don't take independent film production companies in Hollywood seriously, let alone Samuel Goldwyn Pictures. Even New Line Cinema, which released the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, can't compare to it. If I had a distribution company, this series wouldn't be their turn. And, as for theaters, you can check out the Angel Theater in West Hollywood. It's doing very good business. Guy Martin nodded. Of course I believe in your ability, but Landmark Cinemas is an art theater chain and it often shows art films. Don't worry, I can guarantee that, but the development of commercial theaters cannot be stopped. The Landmark Cinema chain is too small. We will definitely merge with other theater chains in the future. The old-fashioned theater model is no longer in line with the trend. If Aaron guessed correctly, perhaps this was the main reason why he wanted to sell Heritage Entertainment. If the landmark cinema chain wanted to expand, it would be necessary to introduce new capital. Aaron, $60 million. The valuation of landmark cinemas cannot be less than $30 million. Puff. Aaron almost spit out the coffee he had just drunk. His eyes widened. The landmark cinema chain is worth $30 million. I can accept that, but what else does Heritage Entertainment have? A few copies of foreign art films. Don't joke. I spent $30 million to set up my own distribution company, which is definitely not worse than Heritage Entertainment. Guy Martin's expression remained unchanged. Aaron, you still have competitors. Hey, Guy, can Samuel Gerwin II directly take out $40 to $50 million in cash like me? He still has to raise funds, and then make installment payments. How can he compare with me? You should know how the box office of Boys on the Hood and The Silence of the Lambs are performing now. Cash is always a big killer. Guy Martin was of course tempted. After all, compared to Samuel Gerwin II, Aaron's advantage is that he has plenty of cash. Sony wouldn't delay Don's share of the theater chain's profits. After all, they had to continue their partnership. Otherwise, Aaron would undoubtedly seek out other distributors. $45 million, and you retain your 40% stake in Landmark Cinemas. Guy Martin shook his head. No, $50 million, and I also want to retain 50% of Landmark. The gap between the two sides was quite large, but Aaron wasn't in a rush. He was taking his time. Chapter 108 kicked out again. The annual Met Gala, a fashion gala held as scheduled at the Metropolitan Museum of Art on Manhattan's Upper East Side, took place. Aaron Anderson and Nicole Kidman attended, bumping into newly minted Oscar-winning director Kevin Costner and Oscar-winning actress Kathy Bates. On Fifth Avenue, at the entrance to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in Central Park, the red carpet along the steps was a star-studded affair, with actresses vying for attention. Reporters and fans surrounded the entire entrance. Aaron sat in the living room, sipping wine, lamenting that the Met Gala was now somewhat more normal, not the chaotic chaos of the future. Aaron, are you serious about acquiring Heritage Entertainment? Nicole Kidman asked. It's true. With Heritage Entertainment, I can do my own distribution. Aaron glanced at the other person. You have to go to the Cannes Film Festival. Ghost will be promoting there. Aaron turned to look at Kevin Costner, who is not far away. Unfortunately, Kevin doesn't have time to go. Director Edward Zwick and Kathy Bates will be there. Well, everyone else on Ghost combined isn't half as popular as Kevin Costner. Well, you're not going. Aaron shook his head. Meanwhile, Guy Martin of Heritage Entertainment was meeting with Samuel Gerwin II. Dawn Pictures, Aaron Anderson. Samuel Gerwin II was also surprised to learn of his competition. In mid to late May, the 1991 Cannes Film Festival began, and some members of the Ghost crew went to the festival to promote it. Meanwhile, The Silence of the Lambs had already surpassed $100 million at the North American box office. Los Angeles, Dawn Pictures. Jessica Parker reports to Aaron, the box office revenue from Boys and the Hood and The Silence of the Lambs has arrived. Boys and the Hood's $50 million share, plus the $100 million share from The Silence of the Lambs, has arrived. Columbia's distribution commission for Boys and the Hood was 15%, and the theater share was 51%. After deducting the $7 million in marketing and promotion costs, Dawn Pictures earned $10 million. For The Silence of the Lambs, TriStar's distribution commission was 13%, and the theater share was 48%. After deducting the $12 million in marketing and promotion costs, Dawn Pictures earned $27 million. As for the videotapes and television rights, they're also very valuable for a movie like this. Aaron now wants cash. Brad Gray, acting on his own terms, should have sold the videotape and television rights. Boys and the Hood is $13 million, and The Silence of the Lambs is $29 million. Columbia and TriStar won't raise the price. Aaron thought for a moment. Okay, agree to it. Soon, Dawn Pictures' account had an additional $79 million. Adding the loan Aaron had taken out for the distribution rights to Boys and the Hood, there was still $1 million or $2 left after interest and various expenses, and Dawn now had over $80 million in cash. Furthermore, after Boys and the Hood and The Silence of the Lambs were released, the remaining share of the box office revenue would also be a source of income. After all, Boys and the Hood and The Silence of the Lambs were still growing at the box office. Guy Maddin is willing to sell Legacy Entertainment for $45 million, but he has to keep a 50% stake in Landmark Cinemas, Jessica Parker explained. Promise him, Aaron said, scratching his head. By the way, go to Northern California yourself and sort out the Pixar issue. Pixar? Sure. Jessica Parker said with a smile. I heard that Jeffrey Katzenberg from Disney met with Steve Jobs and offered him a very tough offer. Now I'm going there with cash. It'll be hard for Pixar to refuse. Aaron smiled at Jessica Parker. They're all greedy people. How can Silicon Valley rival Hollywood in the film industry? I see. In fact, everything was just as Aaron expected. Disney completely ignored Pixar, treating it as a dispensable animation producer. Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was in charge of Disney's film and television business, was very strong. Disney was willing to provide financial support for Pixar to develop 3 animated feature films. However, the copyright to the animations belonged to Disney, while Pixar only owned the copyright to the animation software. In terms of profit sharing, Pixar would only receive 12.5% of the box office revenue. The audio-visual market and all image rights belonged to Disney. Steve Jobs' first attempt to enter Hollywood was indeed a lesson learned. If Pixar refused, it would have to bear the annual losses. And after Jessica Parker moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, it was like an angel descended upon her. Jessica Parker immediately spent $10 million to acquire a 25% stake in Pixar from Pixar veterans Ed Catmull, John Lasseter, and others. She then assured everyone that Suzuki Pictures would fund the development of its own animated feature films, preparing to join forces with the rest of the Pixar team to force Steve Jobs out of the company. At Pixar's offices in Richmond, California, Steve Jobs looked at Ed Catmull with a look of resignation. Have you really decided? Ed Catmull nodded. Suzuki can support us in developing animated features. They just acquired a Hollywood distribution company and can distribute films independently. Steve, if Pixar wants to continue, we need to find a source of support. Disney just treats us as extraneous animators. Ha ha ha, Jessica is amazing, Aaron said in Los Angeles, giving Jessica Parker a thumbs up after learning of her approach. Brad, talk to Guy Martin. I'll pay him $40 million up front, and then give him the remaining $5 million. He'll have to wait 2 months, Brad Gray nodded. He won't object. Aaron, do you want to finalize the Pixar deal first? Yes, Pixar is about to lay off employees. It's a good time for us to act now, otherwise they'll agree to the Disney partnership. Now, all we have to do is deal with Jobs, Alice. Steve Jobs had no choice but to agree to Disney's demands, and the Pixar people naturally had no objection. But now it's different. With Dawn Pictures involved, waving checks, producing and distributing their own films, even a fool knows which way will benefit Pixar's employees. Aaron sighed inwardly. Steve Jobs founded Apple, then was forced out by the rest of the company. Now, Pixar, the company he founded, is being forced out by the rest of the company? There's no way. Steve Jobs simply can't sustain Pixar's growth now. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 The King of B-Movies. Of May, Steve Jobs signed a contract to sell Pixar for $28 million. Ed Catmull would continue to serve as Pixar's president, and John Lasseter would serve as its chief creative officer. Sugan acquired Steve Jobs' 70% stake, plus the remaining 5%. This allowed Steve Jobs to run his next computer company with peace of mind. He truly was a good man. You too, Disney has been on top of the mountain for too long. They haven't seen the technological innovations in computer animation. Aaron smiled at Ed Catmull and John Lasseter at Sugan Pictures. How can some advertising and logo design be the future of Pixar? Pixar's future lies in 3D computer animation. We'll come up with our own ideas, think about stories, produce animated features, and then distribute them. Pixar, we need to be as great as Disney, or even better. John Lasseter stared at Aaron. Does headquarters really support us in creating and developing animated features? Of course, that's my goal. Aaron shrugged. Improve the existing technology, think about the stories, and I'll have the production department adapt the script ideas for you. We'll also give you Dawn special effects business so you can continue to grow and develop. That evening, at the Sunset Marcus Hotel in West Hollywood, Aaron hosted a grand reception specifically to celebrate the acquisition of Pixar and Legacy Entertainment. $80 million, gone in the blink of an eye. Jack Welch's eyes widened. Money is meant to be spent. Otherwise, it's just paying taxes to the government for nothing, Aaron said, patting Jack Welch on the shoulder. The landmark cinema chain has about 50 theaters, which is pretty good. You'll help Guy Martin manage it. I'll also build a large, luxurious flagship theater in Los Angeles to host movie premieres and other events. I've already chosen a name, the Dawn Theater. Jack Welch nodded. Aren't you going to ask me to set up a security company? Aaron smiled. Aren't chain theaters going to need a lot of security too? It's kind of the same thing. You don't have to manage it specifically. You'll mainly run the security company. You'll need to get a few partners together first. Otherwise, without experience, it's really hard to do. Not long after, Aaron met up with Michael Kuhn of Polygram. After a few pleasantries, they talked about the just-concluded Cannes Film Festival. The Kuhn brothers' new film, Barton Fink, which Polygram invested in, had won the Palme d'Or. It's been 3 years in a row. It seems Hollywood independent films are on the rise, Michael Kuhn smiled. From Sex, Lies, and Videotape, Wild at Heart, to this year's Barton Fink, Hollywood independent films have been winning the Cannes Film Festival one after another. It also has to do with the market. The big studios haven't paid much attention to the independent film sector. This is our opportunity. Aaron took a sip of his wine. After acquiring Heritage Entertainment, Sugwon can distribute its own works. Michael Kuhn looked at Aaron and felt a strange sense of relief. Sugwon now has the ability to distribute its own films. Following their usual pattern, they will definitely integrate resources and improve their distribution channels as soon as possible. Many independent distributors such as Samuel Gwyn Pictures, New Line Cinema, Miramax, and Trimark Films have attended the reception. It's simply because Aaron Anderson has an unparalleled vision for films and is so ambitious. New Line President Michael Lin was chatting with Samuel Gwyn President Tom Rothman. Mr. Gwyn just gave up on acquiring Heritage Entertainment so easily, Michael Lin laughed. Samuel Gwyn had originally approached Heritage Entertainment first, but Don hadn't expected to cut a Gordian knot. Tom Rothman shrugged. Everyone knows how profitable Aaron Anderson's work is. How can we compete if he doesn't hesitate to hand over a large sum of cash? Michael Lin sighed. This is a formidable opponent. We all started with foreign art films and low-budget horror films. He's different. His investment in films is a bit crazy. Yes, a bit crazy, Tom Rothman agreed wholeheartedly. Most films invested in by independent filmmakers are low-budget B-movies. If they have more money, they seek financing. The films they purchase are usually cheap foreign art films or shoddy genre films. But Aaron Anderson is different. Who would dare to spend nearly $15 million to buy The Silence of the Lambs? At that time, Don had no distribution capabilities, yet he dared to buy it and then find distribution himself. 2 years ago, Miramax's $1.2 million purchase of Sex, Lies, and Videotape was already a bold move. Now, it pales in comparison to Suzuki. Big investment, big return. Tom Rothman shook his head. That approach wasn't suitable for a small film company, as losses could lead to bankruptcy. Michael Lin smiled. If he releases a few more successful films like this, we won't be the ones worrying. Tom Rothman clinked his glass with his. It's hard to say. If he continues to be successful, Suzuki won't be an independent film company anymore. At that point, Suzuki would face competition from the big six studios. It would either become one of them, or a part of them. Meanwhile, Aaron Anderson was consulting with Roger Corman, Hollywood's king of B-movies, about filmmaking. Having mentored such renowned directors as Francis Ford Coppola and Martin Scorsese, Roger Corman held a high position in the industry. As a pure example of low-budget commercial films, Roger Corman's hallmarks are gore, sexy breasts, and biker gangs, crudely crafted papier-mâché monsters, voluptuous women with voluptuous bodies, and eye-popping gore. However, Roger Corman's B-movie style from the 1960s and 1970s is simply too crude and ill-suited to the current market. While it's true that it won't lose money, profitability holds little appeal for Aaron. The profit from one Sugwon film is enough for 3 years of his own. However, Roger Corman pioneered this style, a trailblazer, and his influence can be seen in all of today's films. Furthermore, low-budget horror films have always been a huge market, and Aaron has never considered giving up. He simply hasn't considered making it his primary genre. Now that Shugwang Pictures has distribution channels, it's time to consider releasing its own B-movie offerings. Theaters always need new releases. Chapter 110 Forced to Leave. Burbank, Disney headquarters. Jeffrey Katzenberg's office. Don actually acquired Pixar. He was no wonder surprised. Pixar was an animation and special effects company that was losing money year after year. Why would Don want to buy it? Aaron Anderson acted quickly, spending almost $40 million. Steve Jobs was kind of forced out, an assistant explained. Jeffrey Katzenberg pondered, could it be that Don is planning to develop an animated film? The assistant certainly didn't know, and then looked at Jeffrey Katzenberg. Pixar has also directly stopped its cooperation with Disney. Perhaps Don really does have plans to develop an animated film. Jeffrey Katzenberg shook his head. The preparation and production of an animated feature film is much more time-consuming than a live-action film. Pixar wants to make their first animated feature film, which is not so easy. New York, Manhattan, Pierre Hotel. Aaron, producer Gary Foster, and director Nora Ephron were discussing the script for Sleepless in Seattle. Tom Hanks. Nora Ephron thought for a moment when she heard the name mentioned by Aaron Anderson. He is indeed a romantic comedy actor, Gary Foster reminded. He collaborated with Meg Ryan in a romantic film last year, which didn't get much attention. He also tried to play a villain in a drama film The Bonfire of the Vanities, which also failed. Aaron smiled. With Tom Hanks's looks, can he play a villain? The casting of The Bonfire of the Vanities was a big failure. As for romantic comedies, after Pretty Woman was released last year, there are many more romantic love comedies. However, most of the scripts are shoddy and randomly spliced together. Nora, show the script to Tom Hanks. Oh, okay. Nora Ephron certainly had no objection. Gary, now that the script for Sleepless in Seattle is complete, let's get started, Aaron said, standing up. Funding will be available soon. Gary Foster nodded. Sleepless in Seattle was being distributed by TriStar Pictures, and Aaron still needed to discuss the distribution revenue with Mike Medver. However, that would have to wait until Ghost was released. That evening, Nicole Kidman, who had just finished promoting Ghost on ABC, arrived at the hotel. Sony seems to be really serious about Ghost. Lying on the bed in her bedroom, Nicole Kidman clung to the man's arms, her tone excited. Aaron smiled, stroked the delicate body in his arms and let out a breath. How can I not take it seriously? Isn't Kevin Costner heavyweight enough? Besides, didn't the promotional footage of Ghost at the Cannes Film Festival also receive a lot of praise? Nicole Kidman propped up her head. Sleepless in Seattle is about to start filming, right? Well, if nothing unexpected happens, the male lead will be Tom Hanks, the male lead of Back to the Future directed by Penny Marshall. Aaron looked at Nicole and said, Sleepless in Seattle is a romantic comedy with a lot of humorous elements in it. It's different from Ghost. You have to pay attention when you perform. After all, Ghost is a fantasy romance in the drama category, and the performance styles of the two are different. Nicole Kidman is still an out Hollywood newcomer who has not been stereotyped. According to Nicole Kidman's future style, who would dare to let her act in a comedy? Nicole Kidman leaned against the man. Well, you just praised my adaptability and great acting skills. And said I could endure hardships and was very serious about my performance. Aaron closed his eyes and hugged the girl. Just now. It's just now. It's late. Let's go to bed. In that situation, was there anything else on Aaron's mind? Nicole Kidman smiled. Tomorrow is the weekend. Nothing to do. Aaron sighed and reached out to rub the other person's body. How can a young person only think about these things? You should get some rest. You've been through a lot of promotional activities lately. Ghost will be released in a week, and so many promotional activities also require energy. Nicole Kidman leaned close to Aaron's ear and asked, do you want me to get breast augmentation? Aaron was stunned. Why would you even think that? It's not good for your health. Don't overthink it. The next morning, New York City held a grand parade to celebrate the victory of the Gulf War. American troops returning from Iraq paraded down Broadway in Manhattan. Surrounded by a dense crowd of American citizens, the streets were filled with flying flowers and streamers. The American Victory Parade. What a grand spectacle. Near Times Square, Nicole Kidman and Aaron stood together on a nearby street, gazing at the thronged Broadway. Aaron stroked his chin. It was held in Washington, D.C. the day before yesterday, and it's in New York today. It's the largest parade since the Victory Parade in World War II. Nicole Kidman's mouth opened into an O shape. No wonder they say there are 2 or 3 million people in New York. One by one, Aaron shook his head. Did the victory in the Gulf War make these guys think they can live a good life? What does it have to do with the people? Will Bush care about the domestic economy? How happy these people are now. They'll be so ridiculous when they see the military spending spurred by the Iraq War. Let's go. The economy's in a slump, and you still have the energy for this. Aaron was almost impatient to see the crowds marching over unemployment. With Boys and the Hood having grossed $57 million in North America, Columbia didn't delay much. After all, the final payment was only a little over $2.3 million. However, Aaron couldn't afford to let everyone down, so he kept only $500,000 for himself and distributed the remaining $1.8 million as bonuses and dividends. Director John Singleton, producers Quentin Tarantino and Jack Wells, and actors Cuba Gooding Jr. and Ice Cube, among others, all contributed. Boys and the Hood cost only $5.5 million to produce, plus $7 million in publicity and promotional expenses, for a total of just $12.5 million. But Dawn's profits were quite good, from theatrical box office, video rights, and television broadcast rights. I guess the final box office payment for The Silence of the Lambs will arrive next month, Aaron said, lying in the hotel bathtub, imagining the future. Aaron, Nicole Kidman came into the bathroom naked. Please support, please add to favorites, please recommend, please vote, please give me a monthly ticket, please do whatever you want. Chapter 111. Do you want to take care of yourself? June, Ghost finally opened in 1,650 theaters across North America, grossing $17 million over its first 3 days. Its positive reviews spread even faster than last year's Pretty Woman, and its touching story of a love story that transcends life and death moved countless people. At the premiere of Disney's The Rocketeer in front of the El Capitan Theater on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles, okay, go do the interviews. I'm going backstage. Aaron and Jennifer Connelly kissed. Aaron had no idea why Jeffrey Katzenberg had specifically invited him. In the backstage lounge, Jeffrey Katzenberg smiled and shook Aaron's hand. Congratulations, not only has Dawn's film achievements this year been amazing, but it's also making some big moves. Aaron was a bit modest. Dawn is just making a small move. This theater was bought and recently renovated by Disney, and The Rocketeer is the first movie to be shown at the El Capitan Theater in recent years. The El Capitan Theater also has more than 1,100 seats. Although it can't compare to the famous landmark theaters, such as the Grand Chinese Theater and the Egyptian Theater, but it's enough to hold the premiere. Aaron nodded. Los Angeles seems to have too many theaters that are almost abandoned, telling the story of the prosperity of Hollywood's golden age. Although he didn't know the specific reason why Jeffrey Katzenberg invited him, Aaron seemed to be able to guess some of it. Since the other party wanted to talk about this nonsense, Aaron was of course happy to do so. Alright, on behalf of Disney, I'd like to acquire Dawn Pictures. Don't worry about the price, it's guaranteed to satisfy you. Furthermore, even after Dawn joins Disney, you'll still be in charge. You can continue to hold a portion of Dawn Pictures shares, and Disney won't interfere with your creative freedom. Dawn Pictures has its own independent film production and distribution rights. Jeffrey Katzenberg was direct and straightforward, no need to mince words. I heard Disney was previously negotiating a deal with Pixar to co-develop animated feature films, Aaron asked with a hint of meaning. Is that true? It's true. Pixar won an Oscar for an animated short, and their creativity and technology are excellent. Then Disney is acquiring Dawn now, isn't it because Dawn just acquired Pixar? Jeffrey Katzenberg simply stared at Aaron. Aaron, Disney's animation is unrivaled in Hollywood. Live-action films are also quite good, but we lack so much in the artistic field. Your talent in this area is astonishing. Aaron smiled. Was he going to take it all in? Disney's chairman and CEO, Michael Eisner, received nearly $40 million in salary, bonuses and stock options at Disney last year. I spent $5.5 million to shoot Boys and the Hood and I bought The Silence of the Lambs from Orion for less than $15 million. These two films have brought me more than $80 million in revenue. Aaron paused, then continued. Disney needs an independent art label, but there are definitely budget limitations. Besides, I am the absolute leader at Dawn, so even if I want to develop a movie with a budget of $100 million, that's fine. Mr. Katzenberg, why should I go to a large film company to be an art label manager? Jeffrey Katzenberg was stunned at first, then smiled helplessly. It seems that you have already made a decision and plan. Dawn Pictures has just acquired Legacy Entertainment and has its own distribution system. It is indeed difficult for Disney to acquire the fast-growing Dawn. Aaron, animated films are different from live-action films. By acquiring Pixar, are you really trying to get into the animation business? Yeah, we're giving it a try. The Rocketeer opened to $9.6 million in its first weekend, ranking 5th for the week, behind Ghost, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, City Slickers, and With You. The Rocketeer's poor reviews also gave Disney little confidence. Ghost grossed $17.8 million in its second weekend. After the huge success of Pretty Woman last year, Disney's performance began to decline with Dick Tracy. Even with $20 million in marketing, The Rocketeer still managed to achieve this level of success, far below Disney's expectations. And Disney's next film, Billy Bathgate, is also facing a shadow. Ghost took in another $16 million in its third weekend, while The Rocketeer only took in $7.2 million in its second weekend. After 3 weeks, Ghost had grossed $65 million. Columbia TriStar also began arranging overseas releases. That evening, at the Sunset Marcus Hotel in West Hollywood, a grand celebration was held for The Silence of the Lambs, attended by cast members Jonathan Demme, Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, and others. The Silence of the Lambs had grossed $130 million in North America, a record for a horror film. TriStar also transferred the remaining $11.7 million to Su Guang's account. After deducting the crew's dividends and bonuses, Su Guang still had $8 million left. This is astonishing. Michael Ovitz, who was attending the party, was in disbelief. Paula Wagner of CAA was also astonished. Phone Booth, Boys and the Hood, The Silence of the Lambs, and now Ghost, she said. Dawn's performance over the past 2 years has been truly dazzling. Ghost, a low-budget fantasy romance film with a budget of just $20 million, has already grossed $66 million. Its critical acclaim remains strong, even surpassing the momentum of Pretty Woman. Michael Ovitz previously led CAA in assisting Panasonic with its acquisition of MCA Universal, earning over $60 million in a busy year. Seeing a newcomer leaving CAA earn so much from a single film has only intensified his desire to enter the film production business. On the other side, Aaron was chatting with Nancy Josephson from ICM. "We have to thank you for the huge success of The Silence of the Lambs." Nancy Josephson shook her head. Before the release of The Silence of the Lambs, few people were optimistic about it, and Orion hadn't made up its mind yet. "You can make such a decisive decision entirely because you have an extraordinary vision. ICM is just doing its job," Aaron smiled. "Don't worry, director Jonathan Demme and actor Anthony Hopkins are both your clients. In the future, Dawn will continue to cooperate with them." "Okay, excuse me," Aaron said as he had to go and greet other guests. Chapter 112, Licking Toes. "It seems like leaving CAA was the right decision for you." Paula Wagner and Aaron hugged each other. Aaron smiled. "By the way, what's Tom been up to lately?" "Filming a western called Far From Home in Montana." "Oh, it's a collaboration with Universal, directed by Ron Howard," Aaron remembered. "Well, there's another script being discussed, a Castle Rock project, directed by Rob Reiner," Aaron nodded. "I know. It's based on a Broadway play about bullying within the Navy, called A Few Good Men, so you knew that too." "Well, Castle Rock's co-distributor is Sony Columbia. I'm doing quite a bit of work with Sony right now." Rob Reiner was the director of When Sally Met Harry. Castle Rock has grown rapidly, becoming a key production company within the Sony Columbia distribution system, but the rise of Dawn Pictures this year has been the most dazzling. "I heard your next collaboration with Samsung is also a romantic film called Sleepless in Seattle, starring Nicole Kidman." Nicole Kidman is currently promoting Ghost in Europe with a crew. "Yeah, a romantic comedy," Aaron said with a smile. "Julia Roberts is so popular and influential right now. Does CAA regret it?" Paula Wagner shrugged. "It's all fair competition, and CAA was once the largest agency by market share." After chatting with Paula Wagner, Aaron went to see Michael Ovitz. "You want to invest in Schindler's List?" Aaron nodded. "Yes, I think it's a project with great artistic value," Michael Ovitz said calmly. "Director Spielberg means that he will be the director of the entire Schindler's List project, and the film company cannot interfere with the production process." "No interference?" He meant that no one else could interfere with the film, no matter how it was made. "No problem. I have great faith in director Steven Spielberg. Also, Steven wants to make Schindler's List into a 3-hour black and white film, Aaron narrowed his eyes. Even if he makes it silent, that's fine. Michael Ovitz patted Aaron on the shoulder. If you really decide to invest, CAA will owe you a favor. Well, then, Director Spielberg, when will we start preparations? I'll discuss it with Steven, but it won't be until at least the end of the year. With Independence Day approaching, the long-awaited sci-fi blockbuster, the sequel to Terminator 2, Judgment Day, directed by Cameron James, has arrived in theaters. Opening in 2,274 theaters across North America, it grossed $31.7 million in its first 3 days. This special effects-heavy action blockbuster, the most expensive to produce to date, with a budget of $102 million, offers audiences an ultimate visual feast. Terminator 2, Judgment Day boasts a gripping plot, rich characters, and profound themes. The film is particularly acclaimed for its special effects, including the T-1000, the liquid metal robot villain, created entirely through computer-generated effects. The film's special effects technology was groundbreaking in the field of cinematic special effects, and is hailed as one of the greatest sequels of all time. James Cameron, indeed, Aaron said, putting down his newspaper in the offices of Dawn Pictures. Carlock's high-concept film strategy of big investment, big stars, and lavish publicity was perfectly embodied in Terminator 2, Judgment Day. That afternoon, Aaron called his assistant, Esther Beckett, and asked, "Here's this script by Quentin Tarantino. Give him $1.5 million to finish filming Reservoir Dogs." Aaron didn't even bother to read the script, it gave him a headache anyway. "By the way, isn't Quentin in Los Angeles anymore?" Esther Beckett shook her head. "There's a summer directing lab at the St. Denis Film Festival, and he's attending it, learn some techniques from other legitimate directors." "Okay," Aaron agreed. Dawn Pictures still had over $8 million in cash, and Ghost was about to release, and they could collect another large sum. That evening, in a Hollywood bar, "Quentin's attending that St. Denis directing lab, and he wants me to play a role," Jack Wells explained. "Then why aren't you going?" Jack Wells quickly shook his head. "You know what kind of person Quentin is. He's a bit of a psychopath. Why, he just likes call girls and licking women's toes." Aaron smiled. "Hey, why are you still letting me go?" Jack Wells took a sip of his wine. "Who knows what inappropriate scenes will be in the movie he directs. Besides, I don't know anything about acting. Wouldn't it be a waste of film if I went?" Aaron patted the other person on the shoulder. "You missed your chance to become famous. Quentin is still a bit of a genius. It's just that the actor himself needs to have his own characteristics. Quentin Tarantino is a ruthless person. Even people like Jack Wells think he is perverted. After all, Jack Wells is always going to hit people with a baseball bat." "By the way, remember Steven Ruther?" Jack Wells suddenly asked. "Oh, of course I remember. He's a contracted producer for CAA. He was one of the producers of Pretty Woman, and I've worked with him before." Jack Wells nodded. "I ran into him the other day at the Hollywood Landmark Theater. He has a script, and I heard it's pretty good. You could ask him to send it over and take a look. Maybe you'd be interested." "Really? You're studying scripts now?" Jack Wells smiled. "I don't know, but I saw him and director Adrian Lyne discussing it, but I know Adrian Lyne. He's the director of films like Flashdance, 9.5 Weeks, and Fatal Attraction." Steven Ruther is discussing the script with Adrian Lyne now. "I thought, would you take a look at it?" Aaron thought for a moment, raised his hand to touch his chin. 9.5 Weeks and Fatal Attraction fell into the category of erotic dramas, but that didn't matter. After all, Fatal Attraction grossed $150 million worldwide when it was released in 1987. Furthermore, Basic Instinct, a film funded by Carlock, is currently filming in San Francisco. Directed by Paul Verhoeven, it stars Michael Douglas and Sharon Stone. Basic Instinct is currently the most expensive original screenplay in Hollywood, and it's an erotic thriller that's been garnering significant attention since filming began. Please make an appointment for me with Steven Ruther. Chapter 113, A Package Movie. Indecent Proposal. At Dawn Pictures, Aaron glanced over the script Steven Ruther had sent him and realized it was indeed a good one. "Well, Aaron, isn't the story good? Isn't the plot quite original?" Steven Ruther beamed. Indecent Proposal tells the story of a young couple who, after losing a fortune in a casino, meet a handsome, elderly, wealthy man. The wealthy man, deeply attracted to his young, sexy wife, offers them $1 million in exchange for a night with her. After a fierce struggle, the couple agreeing never to discuss the matter again. However, The couple's lives are no longer the same, and the wealthy man reappears in their lives. Aaron nodded. It's indeed good. Is Adrian Lyne satisfied with the script? It still needs some revisions. Screenwriter Amy Jones will adapt it based on director Adrian Lyne's suggestions, Steven Ruther explained. That's pretty good, Aaron said, knowing it was a CAA package deal, but he also thought it was feasible. What's the budget CAA has set? No less than $35 million, plus 15% of the film's revenue. Steven Ruther was direct. Aaron frowned. Steven, this is just a feature film. There aren't any large sets or sets to build. Why would you want a $35 million budget? He shook his head. That's impossible, and the 15% you're asking for is a lot. That's 15% of the total box office, video, and television revenue. For the role of the rich man, we think Robert Redford is very suitable. For the male lead, we are optimistic about Tom Cruise. Aaron smiled. Will Tom Cruise take on such a role? He has no shortage of scripts. Steven Ruther spread his hands. Aaron, the producer Sherry Lansing, who previously worked with director Adrian Lyne on Fatal Attraction, is also interested in the script. You also know that Sherry Lansing's production company has a cooperation agreement with Paramount. Shirley Lansing, the first woman to become the president of production at 20th Century Fox, after leaving, founded a film production company with the assistance of Paramount. Aaron, 15% of the film's revenue is absolutely final. Aaron knocked on the table and sighed. Don is willing to cover a $25 million production budget, no higher. As for the lead actor and actress, we'll continue to discuss. Steven Ruther thought for a moment. A $25 million budget? Sure, Aaron glanced at him. I have my own requirements. Indecent Proposal will be released in the second half of next year. CAA needs to speed up. Steven Ruther hesitated. Isn't that too urgent? Can't you guys get a release date by the end of next year? Of course we can. Just like that, Dawn Pictures' first packaged film, Indecent Proposal, was confirmed. Aaron had never imagined that he would have a CAA packaged work. Santa Monica, Pacific Palisades. Michael Ovitz arrived at Steven Spielberg's seaside villa. Oh, Aaron Anderson actually wants to support me in making Schindler's List. Steven Spielberg was surprised to hear this. His old friends, Time Warner chairman Steve Ross and MCA Universal president Sidney Sheinberg, were not optimistic about this unprofitable project. Michael Ovitz nodded. I've already spoken to him. Aaron Anderson is very eager to work with you. Don't forget, you're Steven Spielberg. Dawn Pictures is a new company, and it's seeing amazing success right out of the gate, but you have no background. Aaron was just an agent at CAA before. Okay, have a drink. Spielberg's remarried wife, Kate Capshaw, said, bringing over 2 cups of coffee. Thank you. Steven Spielberg married Kate Capshaw this year and paid over $100 million in alimony when they divorced 2 years ago. Are you talking about that young producer Aaron Anderson? He's behind the now-released Ghost, right? Kate Capshaw asked with a smile. Michael Ovitz nodded. Yes, that's him. A very talented young man. Kate Capshaw sat down next to Spielberg, propping up her head. It's truly remarkable that he could embarrass Warren Beatty. Why would he want to support Schindler's List? Michael Ovitz spread his hands. Spielberg's status is undeniable. Dawn is probably trying to elevate its own position within the industry. Well, Kate Capshaw didn't understand. Wasn't the price too high? After all, no one believed Schindler's List would be a box office success. Steven Spielberg didn't care about other things. Michael, the post-production of Hook has been completed, and I want to shoot Schindler's List as soon as possible. Are there any conditions from Sugan? Michael Ovitz smiled. Aaron is very sincere in cooperating with you this time, and he will not have any opinions on your filming process. Before the end of the year, Sugan will transfer the budget to the special account for the movie. Oh, really? Can I really start shooting at the end of the year? Of course, Sugan has funds now. Aaron just acquired Heritage Entertainment, and Pixar Studios has spent a lot. The source of funds is the movies Boys and the Hood and The Silence of the Lambs, and you know how good the box office of Ghost is that is currently being released. The North American box office of Ghost has exceeded $80 million, and it has exceeded $50 million after its release overseas not long ago. Honey, Michael's right. Ghost is doing even better at the box office than Pretty Woman did last year. Kate Capshaw chimed in. No wonder. I'll meet with Aaron Anderson as soon as possible and start preparing the crew. With the revenue from Ghost bolstering Spielberg, there was no need to worry about Suzuki running out of money. "Steven, we can't delay the Jurassic Park project, can we?" Michael Ovitz reminded him. Spielberg waved his hand. "Don't worry, we'll start filming both movies simultaneously. After I finish Schindler's List, we'll start filming Jurassic Park right away, no delays." Michael Ovitz knew Spielberg valued Schindler's List very much, and since he had made his plans, he naturally had no objections. Chapter 114 by the film. In East Hollywood, Los Feliz, Aaron Anderson and Jennifer Connelly lay in the bathtub, holding each other. "Your film, Ghost, is such a hit. It's getting all the buzz right now. The Rocketeer didn't do so well. It only grossed $36 million after a month, and its reputation was pretty average." Jennifer Connelly was devastated. Aaron smiled and caressed the sexy woman in his arms. "You're still in college, so why worry about this?" Jennifer Connelly looked up at Aaron and smiled. "Do you have any scripts ready for me?" "Of course I do." Aaron kissed the woman on the cheek. "I have an action story about a bus being bombed by robbers." He was referring to the action story from Speed. Jennifer Connelly's eyes lit up. "Ah, that sounds intense and thrilling, of course, with lots of explosions. So, when are you planning to start filming?" Aaron thought for a moment. "Next year at the earliest." The two biggest hits of the 1991 summer season were undoubtedly Ghost and Terminator 2, Judgment Day. One moved countless people with its tear-jerking human-ghost romance, while the other offered eye-opening special effects. Hollywood, Universal City, Universal Pictures, Spielberg's office. "Aaron, have you made up your mind?" Steven Spielberg asked the young man before him. Aaron put down the script for Schindler's List and looked up at the other man, smiling slightly. "Of course I've thought about it. Don will have a large amount of funds return soon. Mr. Spielberg, you can assemble the crew and select the filming location as soon as possible." Steven Spielberg nodded, knowing that Aaron was referring to the revenue from the release of Ghost. "Thank you, Aaron. This project may cost $20 million. I can get some of the funds from Universal." Aaron shook his head. "No need. Don just acquired Legacy Entertainment and established its own North American distribution system. It's exactly what we need for the movie to be released. A budget of over $20 million is not too high. Don can handle it." Moreover, Steven Spielberg did not receive any salary from the project. Opportunities like Schindler's List only come once. Steven Spielberg handed Aaron a glass of wine. "I've acquired the script rights from Universal. Amblin and Don are co-producing it. Don has its own distribution system, and the entire crew will cooperate with Don's promotion." Since Don was backing the film, Spielberg would naturally fully cooperate with Don's promotion. "Well, you can film Schindler's List without interference. The production budget will arrive in 3 months, Aaron said, taking a sip of wine. "It's nice to be able to do something for the souls lost in the war." That afternoon, Aaron went to the Angel Theater to see Jack Wells. Thanks to Jack Wells's suggestion, Aaron had a new project, Indecent Proposal, and he had to go have a drink with him. In the alley behind the Angel Theater, Jack Wells and 2 security guards were leading 2 black men deeper into the theater. "You're really brave to come here and cause trouble." Jack Wells said with a creepy smile, kicking one of the black men to the ground. "He just happened to be there today and ran into them." "Hey, men, what do you want to do?" "We haven't done anything yet." The other one tried to resist, but was pinned to the ground by 2 security guards. "You scum of society, not only don't want to buy tickets to the movies, but you're actually fighting." Jack Wells kneed the black man in front of him on the back of the neck and slapped him on the back of the head a few times. "You scared my customers." When Aaron came over, this was the scene he saw. Aaron opened his mouth. "Isn't this the usual tactic used by Los Angeles police to deal with black people? Push to the ground, knee to the neck, hands on the back." Seeing Aaron coming, Jack Wells immediately stood up. "You two, get these 2 guys out." Back in the office, Jack Wells casually explained to Aaron. Aaron just smiled and really didn't pay much attention to these things. "Okay, you are still so bad-tempered. Do these things happen a lot?" "It's okay, maybe I was unlucky today." Jack Wells smiled. "By the way, is there anything you want to talk to me about?" Aaron shook his head. "Oh, nothing big. I just came from Universal and was about to go home. I just came to tell you the news. I have talked to Stephen Ruther of CAA about the script Indecent deal you mentioned before, and they will package it and give it to Sue Wong for development." Package. Jack Wells poured 2 glasses of wine, handed one to Aaron. took a sip himself, and asked with some confusion, "Well, haven't you always disliked project packaging?" Aaron spread his hands. "This is CAA's script itself. They have found a producer, director and screenwriter. Besides, I think this story is still good. If Su Guang doesn't want it, CAA will also cooperate with other film companies." Su Guang has also received many scripts now, but it really hasn't come across anything eye-catching. For a packaged project, CAA is deeply involved. Aaron smiled. "It doesn't matter. We'll all make money together." "That's right," Jack Wells nodded. "By the way, now that Dawn has a film distribution department, are you going to the film festivals to buy some finished films?" "Buy finished films?" Aaron leaned back on the sofa and lit a cigarette. "You could give it a try. Art films aren't expensive anyway, so if you come across a good one, you can still make some money. The Venice Film Festival is next month, so it's a good idea to go and try your luck." "Yeah, you have such good taste. You can definitely go to the St. Denis Film Festival, Cannes Film Festival, Venice Film Festival, and Toronto Film Festival in the future. Films like Sex, Lies, and Videotape and Cinema Paradiso are great deals. They can both boost your reputation and make money." Jack Wells had absolute faith in Aaron Anderson's vision. Aaron stood up and said, "Okay, I'll go home first. See you at the bar tonight. Oh, by the way, Quentin is back. I'll call him over tonight, and you can have a good chat about Reservoir Dogs." "Sure." "Hey, is Quentin Tarantino finally going to shoot his first feature film?" Chapter 115 Youth Hormones. That evening, at a Hollywood nightclub, Aaron was hanging out with Jennifer Connelly, Quentin Tarantino, and Jack Wells. "I've already spoken with actors like Harvey Keitel and Michael Madsen, and they're all very interested in appearing in Reservoir Dogs. I think filming will start in less than 2 months. Quentin Tarantino was incredibly excited. He was finally about to begin work on his first feature film. Jack Wells asked, "It should be filmed in Los Angeles, right?" "Yes, there are not too many scenes. The main story takes place in a warehouse, and the exterior location is in the streets of Los Angeles." Aaron hugged Jennifer Connelly and asked doubtfully, "Quentin, isn't there a female role in Reservoir Dogs?" Quentin Tarantino smiled. "It seems not. Is Miss Connelly going to star in it?" Before Jennifer Connelly could speak, Aaron shook his head. "Oh, she's not suitable. Just shoot it according to your own ideas." As he said that, Aaron whispered in the ear of Jennifer Connelly in his arms, "Just wait for the filming of Speed." A while later, on the dance floor, Jennifer Connelly hugged Aaron and danced closely. "Isn't Quentin a talent you value? Why don't you let me play the role in Reservoir Dogs?" Aaron held the girl in his arms and whispered, "There are no female characters in this story, and the important ones are the robbers. Even if we add female characters, it's just a replacement for the police. It won't really boost your career." "Okay, fine. I'll listen to you and wait for you to develop Speed." Of course, the strong smell of hormones made the two of them kiss passionately. Soon, Aaron Anderson dragged Jennifer Connelly out of the bar into the car in the parking lot. "Honey, I have to go back to school soon." Jennifer Connelly lay on top of the man, hugging him tightly, her face dazed. "It's okay, I'll come find you then," Aaron said, hugging the woman tightly. With a huge release of Terminator 2, Judgment Day, it amassed $90 million in 10 days. By late July, it had grossed $115 million in just 3 weeks. Meanwhile, Ghost, which had been released for a month and a half, had also grossed $120 million. As for the overseas market, Terminator 2, Judgment Day was screened in multiple countries and broke the $200 million mark in just 2 weeks. Ghost has only just broken the $100 million mark overseas. The distribution contract Aaron negotiated with Columbia stipulated a 15% commission for films up to $50 million, and a 12% commission for films between $50 million and $100 million. Therefore, after deducting $15 million in publicity and promotional expenses from the $100 million North American box office, Dawn's share was $23 million. And after investing $1.5 million in Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, Dawn still had $6 million left in its account. Aaron leaned back in his chair and sighed. There really isn't enough money. Sleepless in Seattle, with a $20 million production budget, was the first to begin filming. Spielberg's Schindler's List, also expected to begin filming by the end of the year, would also cost at least $20 million. CAA's packaged project, Indecent Proposal, is also set to begin filming soon, with a production budget of $25 million. After deducting the costs of Sleepless in Seattle, Aaron still has $9 million left in his account, and he has a trip to Venice next month. Afterward, Aaron called producer Steven Soderbergh. "Have you confirmed the casting for the young couple in Indecent Proposal? We think Demi Moore is a good choice for the female lead, but we're still selecting the actor who will play the husband. Who are the candidates? Johnny Depp, Tim Robbins, Alec Baldwin, etc. There's quite a few." Aaron curled his lips. Would Johnny Depp take such a role? But that didn't matter. The main thing was the elderly wealthy actor Robert Redford and his young, sexy wife, Demi Moore. "I think Robert Redford is going to direct the biopic A River Runs Through It, right?" Aaron inquired. "That's okay. Mr. Redford has been preparing for A River Runs Through It for years, and now that Indecent Proposal is about to begin filming, he can shoot this first." Director Adrian Lyne thinks Redford looks kind and doesn't have a villainous vibe, which is perfect for the role. Robert Redford's importance in Indecent Proposal is self-evident. So, Robert Redford will shoot Indecent Proposal first, then direct A River Runs Through It. Great. Aaron was relieved to hear the other party's affirmative answer. After all, the key to Indecent Proposal lies not only in Demi Moore's sensuality, but also in the captivating charm of the veteran handsome Robert Redford. After reviewing the progress of Indecent Proposal, Aaron called in Estherine Beckett. "What's the status of Carlock's Basic Instinct now?" The highly anticipated Basic Instinct was still filming in San Francisco, and Aaron knew the film's potential impact. Ever since screenwriter Joe Esterhaus sold the script for $3 million, the project, despite its troubled fate, had consistently attracted widespread attention. Basic Instinct? "We've encountered some difficulties during filming." What difficulties? Aaron only knew that casting the lead actress for Basic Instinct was extremely difficult. 13 actresses in a row rejected the role, all of whom couldn't handle the explicit erotic scenes. Otherwise, the crew wouldn't have chosen Sharon Stone, a relatively unknown actress. The film's explicit content had been so jarring to some European actresses that they couldn't accept it. For example, French actress Isabelle Adjani turned down the role, and Basic Instinct simply couldn't find a star to join. It's mainly because the portrayal of lesbianism and bisexuality in Basic Instinct has caused serious dissatisfaction among many LGBTQ+ people. On the set of Basic Instinct in San Francisco, large numbers of LGBTQ+ people often protest nearby, expressing their disappointment and anger at the crew. Aaron curled his lips. This wasn't a big deal, was it? Protesting outside, the disruption to the crew was minimal. Didn't they rush in to disrupt the crew or anything? No, because of them, San Francisco specifically arranged for police to be stationed there, Etheline Beckett replied with a suppressed smile. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 I Don't Like Your Eyes. Aaron had no reason not to be interested in Basic Instinct. After all, it was produced by Carlock and distributed by Samsung, with a spring release date next year. Meanwhile, Dawn had also partnered with Samsung on the romantic comedy Sleepless in Seattle. Thanks to the success of Ghost, rising Australian actress Nicole Kidman quickly established herself in Hollywood. There was no objection to her starring role alongside Tom Hanks in Sleepless in Seattle. At the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills, Nicole Kidman, after attending the Sleepless in Seattle press conference, was beaming with excitement. She hugged Aaron and gave him a series of hearty kisses. "Well, we just finished promoting Ghost and are about to start filming Sleepless in Seattle. Aren't you tired?" Aaron sat on the sofa and let Nicole Kidman settle into his arms. Kevin Costner had only been to Japan and 3 or 4 cities in Europe. Nicole Kidman, however, was different. She had already been to Cannes, Europe, Japan, and Australia, and hadn't been back to the US for long. "I'm definitely a little tired, but very fulfilled," Nicole Kidman thought for a moment. "This feeling now is very different." "Okay, I understand what you mean. This is the exciting period after becoming famous. Who among celebrities doesn't like to shine under the spotlight?" "Hi, Aaron." Nicole. Suddenly, Harvey Weinstein came over, his eyes flickering. Aaron looked at Harvey. "Oh, Harvey, I haven't seen you for a long time. How are you doing recently, honey? Go get me a glass of wine." Aaron deliberately patted Nicole Kidman in his arms. "Yes." Nicole Kidman smiled and left the sofa. Harvey Weinstein looked at Aaron, feeling extremely sad. The development over more than 10 years was not even 1/10 of what others had achieved in 2 years. Congratulations, Aaron. Aaron shook his head. There's nothing to congratulate. Miramax, on the other hand, has been aggressively acquiring overseas art house films. Now, there's a new Miramax film coming out every month. I'm really envious. Family Matters. Miramax's wide-ranging strategy had failed. Its success 2 years prior had dazzled the Weinstein brothers. To this day, most of Miramax's releases have been losses, and even those that managed to make a little money were too niche. Aaron, I think we can work together. Harvey Weinstein now truly looked up to Aaron Anderson. Come on, let's find a quiet place to talk it over. Aaron stood up and placed his arm around Harvey Weinstein's shoulder with a smile. Okay, let's find a quiet place to talk it over. Harvey Weinstein beamed, his portly face beaming. Soon, Aaron Anderson and Harvey Weinstein arrived in a small conference room upstairs in the hotel. What a great place, Aaron smiled, closing the door and pulling a pair of white gloves from his pocket. Aaron, I'm interested now. Smack. Harvey Weinstein was just discussing his plan when Aaron Anderson suddenly changed his expression and started to attack. After closing the door, Aaron slapped Harvey Weinstein across the face, stunning him. Then, Aaron placed his hands on Harvey Weinstein's shoulders and stared at him. The look you gave Nicole just now was filled with filth and vulgarity. I don't like it. Bang. Aaron kneed him. Ouch. Harvey Weinstein's face turned the color of liver, and he immediately covered his crotch with his hands and fell to the ground. Harvey Weinstein glared at the person standing beside him. Aaron, you? Harvey Weinstein hadn't finished speaking when Aaron grabbed his hair again. Fatty, back in Cannes, you knew Nicole was my woman, yet you still dared to go after her. Now, I'm a top producer, worth hundreds of millions, and you're still so brazen. Are you really that brave when you're horny? Aaron said, exerting force with his hands, grabbing her hair and trying to pull it up. Aaron, I was wrong. Harvey Weinstein, already overweight, was in unbearable pain when Aaron grabbed his hair. He could only support himself with his hands and kneel on the ground, begging for mercy. Fatty, if this ever happens again, Aaron smiled and leaned into Harvey Weinstein's ear. I promise you, the Weinstein brothers will disappear from Hollywood. Remember this, my woman. Don't get any ideas. I don't care if you bully me around at Miramax, just leave me alone. You've ruined a lot of new talent by exploiting Miramax's films. Guess what would happen if I found them and supported them in suing you? Aaron let go of her hair and patted her cheek. Harvey Weinstein breathed a sigh of relief. Nothing happened this year. Harvey Weinstein wasn't stupid. Aaron Anderson was no match for him now. If he'd made a big deal about tonight's incident, one couldn't imagine what young Aaron Anderson would have done. Smart. Aaron smiled, stood up, straightened his suit, and opened the door. He breathed a sigh of relief, now much more clear-headed. Aaron Anderson. Harvey Weinstein's face was distorted and he growled, half because of the unbearable pain and half because he was angry with the other party. At night, Nicole Kidman nestled in Aaron's arms. Just now in the hotel, did you do something to Harvey Weinstein? I saw from a distance that he seemed to be helped away by someone. Aaron smiled, stroked the girl's body and explained, maybe it was because of obesity that he fell. Aaron, do you think I'm stupid? Okay, I educated him, gave him some lessons and care, but the means were a little bit harsh. Then, why? Will there be any trouble? Nicole Kidman was a little worried. It's no trouble. As for the reason? Don't you know, the way that guy looked at you was as if he had stripped you naked and pressed you under him. Didn't he also have his eyes on you in Cannes before? I've wanted to teach him a lesson for a long time. Now that I have a chance, how can I let it go? Well, Nicole Kidman kissed the man on the face and smiled. You are so domineering. You don't even allow others to look at your woman. Nicole Kidman may have already adapted to being looked at in this way. Chapter 117. Let's go to Hollywood. After being taught a lesson by Aaron, Harvey Weinstein didn't make a public announcement or take any action. However, Aaron still instructed Jack Wells to keep an eye on Miramax and the Weinstein brothers. Don't worry, those two brothers are just minor players in your eyes. The box office revenue of one film, Dawn, is higher than the combined total of their 2-year releases, Jack Wells warned. Aaron stretched. I don't take that fat guy seriously. Just keep an eye on the female employees at Miramax and the actresses in their films. That fat guy is just a sex addict. Maybe he'll need them someday. Jack Wells smiled. Why bother? I guess it won't be long before you can crush those brothers." With the arrival of September, filming on Sleepless in Seattle officially began. Aaron signed a new distribution contract with Samsung, which would receive a 10% commission on the box office. Meanwhile, Ghost had already surpassed $170 million at the box office, with over $250 million already earned overseas. However, the Venice Film Festival had already begun, and Aaron had headed to Venice. Meanwhile, Heritage Entertainment's feature film, My Own Idaho, had been shortlisted for the main competition. Located in northeastern Italy, Venice, Europe's water city, bordering the Adriatic Sea, is primarily composed of over 100 small islands, interconnected by canals. In a suite at the Monaco Grand Canal Hotel in downtown Venice, Aaron was looking through his materials. Films nominated for the Golden Lion included Mongol Spirit, The Big Fish, Mississippi Graffiti, My Own Idaho, and Raise the Red Lantern. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, and Aaron opened it. Sophie Marceau, dressed simply, was standing there. "What? You asked me to come in? Aren't you inviting me in?" Aaron smiled, pulled Sophie Marceau into his arms, and kissed her passionately. Soon, the two came to the bed in the bedroom. Aaron lay on the girl, feeling the charm of this French kiss and smoothing her chestnut bangs. "Sophie, you are still so attractive." Sophie Marceau smiled, hugged the man on her and kissed him. "Your performance this year is really amazing. Movies like Ghost are so touching. You can do that, but you always want to stay in France. Well, do you really want me to develop in Hollywood? Why not? My movies are much better than the ones you made. You released 2 movies in the first half of this year. They made no splash. They were a double failure in both awards and box office. One was Castle in the North and the other was Blue Movement." Apart from Sophie Marceau showing off her sexy and attractive body, there was nothing else that could attract people's attention or thinking. "Indeed, it can't compare to your work." Sophie Marceau breathed heavily. "You're asking me to go to Hollywood and make me your lover. Not only that, but I'm Aaron Anderson's woman. Your elderly, wrinkled boyfriend, Andrei Zulawski, is truly enviable." Then, Sophie Marceau whispered in Aaron's ear. "Well, let's not talk about that. Now it's just the two of us." With Sophie Marceau by his side in Venice, Aaron wasn't bored anymore. He attended the promotional event for My Own Private Idaho and enjoyed the screenings. "It's a Chinese film, Aaron. Do you want to see it?" Sophie Marceau asked, her arm around Aaron's waist. Outside a theater showing Raise the Red Lantern, Aaron put his arm around Sophie's shoulders, pushed up his sunglasses, and said with a smile, "I've seen it, and Xu Guang is purchasing this movie and preparing to take it back to the United States for release." At last year's Cannes Film Festival, a film co-produced by this director and the leading actress was nominated for the Cannes Palme d'Or. It's called Ju Bin and was also shortlisted for the Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars at the beginning of the year. The North American distributor of Ju Bin is Miramax. The box office was less than $2 million, but it was the highest-grossing film from mainland China in North America. The North American box office record for Chinese-language films is still held by the late Bruce Lee, waiting for Jack Cheng to break it. I see. It seems that after Xu Guang established its own distribution department, it is also paying attention to some foreign art films. You should know that I finally established Xu Guang's own distribution channel, so of course I have to ensure the operation of the channel. Xu Guang's distribution is basically the connections and channels of Legacy Entertainment before, plus the equity support of the landmark cinema chain. Sophie Marceau pulled Aaron in her arms, saying, "Let's go see this movie." Sophie Marceau had always been known for her beauty, but she'd never received any acting awards. Aaron nodded, and they walked into the theater together. Before the movie was over, Sophie Marceau and Aaron left the theater. Then, Sophie Marceau went to a nearby bridge, grabbed a bottle of water, and rinsed her mouth. Aaron hugged the girl from behind. "How about we go back to the hotel?" "Well, aren't we going to go shopping anymore?" Sophie Marceau leaned on the man's arms. "Didn't you say that this is your first time in Venice?" "Yes, so I called you in advance and asked you to come from France." Sophie Marceau nodded. "Then let's go back. You were so bad in the theater just now." Aaron smiled. "Well, we'll continue after we get back to the hotel. There will be worse. However, I still hope you can go to Hollywood with me. You should understand that with me around, your career will definitely reach a higher level." Sophie Marceau sighed. "You are just too domineering. Let me think about it first." Accompanying Aaron Anderson was Brad Gray from Dawn's marketing and distribution department, to cooperate with the promotion of My Own Idaho and purchase the finished film. In addition to Dawn's interest in Raise the Red Lantern, Orion's art label Orion Classic Pictures is also interested. However, compared to the now well-funded Dawn Pictures, Orion, with its precarious financial situation, has no advantage, even though the North American distribution rights for Raise the Red Lantern were quite affordable. At the closing ceremony of the Venice Film Festival, the Golden Lion went to The Mongol Spirit, directed by Soviet director Nikita Mikhalkov. My Own Private Idaho won Best Actor for its lead actor, River Phoenix. Raise the Red Lantern shared the Silver Lion for Best Picture with two other films. Chapter 118 More Chaotic Than Hollywood. The Venice Film Festival concluded successfully, but Aaron left early, returning to Paris with Sophie Marceau. After all, a minor matter like acquiring a Chinese art house film didn't require Aaron's personal attention, nor did he have to worry about the distribution of art house films like My Own Private Idaho. In a suite at the Ritz Paris, Aaron had just spoken with Brad Gray on the phone. My Own Private Idaho and Raise the Red Lantern will be released in China in November and December respectively. Sophie Marceau came out of the bedroom and saw Aaron standing by the window. What's wrong? Is the deal for L'Amours du Pont Neuf settled? L'Amours du Pont Neuf is a modern romance film directed by Léos Carax and starring Juliette Binoche and Denis Lavant. From preparation to completion, L'Amours du Pont Neuf had a very ill-fated fate, with filming on and off, and constant financing, costing more than 130 million francs. Aaron smiled. L'Amours du Pont Neuf has good artistic quality, it's a signature French art film, it won't have much influence in the United States, it's not difficult to distribute it in the United States, let's go directly to Gaumont Films later. Sophie Marceau blinked. You haven't prepared anything? It doesn't matter to me whether it can be taken back for distribution, I mainly came to Paris with you. Aaron persuaded Sophie Marceau to go to Hollywood to develop her career, so her relationship with Andrei Zulawski must end. Sophie Marceau took a deep breath. Aaron, do you want me to live in Hollywood permanently? Aaron hugged the girl. What else? You are so beautiful, you will have no shortage of opportunities. Besides, if I take care of you, no blind man will dare to covet you, right? Didn't you say that you often encountered people who harassed you before? Like filmmakers like Gerard Depardieu. Big-nose Gerard Depardieu had collaborated with Sophie Marceau on a movie a few years ago, and the young Sophie Marceau had been harassed by him. After all, the European literary and art circles are more chaotic than those in Hollywood, and have no morals or bottom line. I don't have a Hollywood script now. Sophie Marceau kissed Aaron on the cheek. It doesn't matter, go to Hollywood first. Practice English well, and wait for opportunities. I will recommend you. Aaron knew a lot of people now, so finding an agent and recommending roles for Sophie Marceau wouldn't be too difficult. By the way, do you know Luc Besson? Aaron said, pulling Sophie Marceau to sit on the sofa. Of all the French directors Aaron remembered most fondly, Luc Besson was the most famous. Unfortunately, at this year's Venice Film Festival, his documentary Atlantis was the opening film. By the time Aaron arrived in Venice, Luc Besson had already returned to France. Furthermore, last year's French action film Nikita, directed by Luc Besson, was a huge hit. Combined with previous works like Subway and The Big Blue, Luc Besson has firmly established himself as France's leading film director. Of course I know Luc Besson, but I've never worked with him. His work is very commercial, somewhat different from mainstream French culture. Really? Aaron scoffed. France's mainstream culture is art, and most filmmakers boast under the guise of disdain for commercial productions. Make me an appointment. I'd like to invite Luc Besson to dinner. To meet him. France, as the European Film Center, is a crucial market and cannot be ignored. Meet Luc Besson? Yeah, no problem, I'll arrange it for you. That afternoon, Aaron went to Gaumont Films specifically to prepare for the release of L'Amours du Pont Neuf. After all, Aaron knew French actress Juliette Binoche, a very talented actress. However, he had no idea that Miramax had already acquired the North American distribution rights for L'Amours du Pont Neuf. So it's Harvey Weinstein. Aaron wasn't too surprised. After all, Miramax had released a number of art house films in the past 2 years. Meanwhile, Aaron met the renowned director Ridley Scott on the Gaumont set. Scott was directing 1492, The Conquest of Paradise, a historical biopic about Christopher Columbus, a co-production between Britain, the United States, France, and Spain. However, Aaron was more focused on his film, The Stranger, which he shot last year and will be released next month. Director Scott, I remember Warner Brothers was also filming Christopher Columbus, Discovering the New World. Aaron and Ridley Scott clinked their glasses and laughed. I know that, but Warner Bros.'s Christopher Columbus, Discovering the New World is a British-American co-production, with actor Marlon Brando in the cast, since Columbus discovered the New World in 1492, and next year marks the 500th anniversary of his discovery of the Americas. It seems unsurprising that there will be 2 biopics about Columbus next year. Their crew is on set in Spain, and I finished filming in Spain before returning to France. Aaron was deeply moved by this explanation. 1492. The Conquest of Paradise was a collaboration between Gaumont and Paramount Pictures, with a $47 million production budget, while Christopher Columbus, Discovering the New World was a collaboration between Warner Brothers and other companies, with a budget of $40 million. Director Ridley Scott is indeed very interested in this kind of historical work. However, Warner Brothers at least cast the renowned Marlon Brando, though not in the lead role, in a significant one. 1492. The Conquest of Paradise, starring French actor Gérard Depardieu as Christopher Columbus and Sigourney Weaver as Queen Isabella of Spain, feels rather out of place. Aaron doesn't know how Warner Bros.'s Columbus biopic fared at the box office, but Ridley Scott's 1492, The Conquest of Paradise is sure to be a very low performer. Especially in North America, Gérard Depardieu isn't a big name. In Hollywood, he's usually reserved for comedies or supporting roles in dramas. Well, are you really not optimistic about 1492, The Conquest of Paradise? Sophie Marceau asked after leaving Gaumont. Of course, I can't understand why our Ridley Scott would make this movie. Aaron spread his hands. Gérard Depardieu is popular in France, but not in North America. How could he possibly have any box office appeal? Did Peter Weir's romantic drama Green Card, which released late last year and starred Gérard Depardieu, also flop? Sophie, a sudden voice called out. André. Sophie Marceau turned, her expression hesitant. Her boyfriend, André Zulawski, approached. Aaron was stunned for a moment, then realized, is this the old man? Then I'll go back to the hotel. If the two were still in contact, Aaron wouldn't waste his time. It wouldn't matter to Sophie Marceau whether she went to Hollywood or not. But Sophie Marceau's vision was truly unique. Chapter 119. Wild French Rose. In the evening, in the Ritz Hotel's restaurant, Aaron Anderson and Luc Besson sat across from each other for dinner. When it comes to food, France is still the most exquisite and delicious. In all of Europe and America, only Italian food can compare. Aaron took a sip of his wine and spoke. Luc Besson smiled. That's true. British cuisine is terrible, and German food is just too crude. As for America, all I remember is hot dogs and hamburgers. Aaron looked up. By the way, the market share of French film seems to be declining these days, right? Well, the impact of Hollywood is too great. How can French art films compete? Luc Besson shook his head, sighing. As an outlier among French directors, the commercial elements in Luc Besson's works are often criticized by many French filmmakers, who call him an anomaly. However, he believes that to increase the influence of French cinema, the first thing to do is to be able to withstand the onslaught of Hollywood. And the best way to compete with Hollywood is to fight Hollywood films with Hollywood's methods. So, do you have any plans to go to Hollywood to make movies now? For French filmmakers, although Luc Besson's works have a strong commercial flavor, for Hollywood, his works are mixed with an indelible French literary and artistic style. After hearing this, Luc Besson looked at Aaron and smiled. Hollywood, this fit my idea. In the bar of the Ritz Hotel, Sophie Marceau saw Luc Besson leave, and the two returned to the hotel room. Sophie asked her lover beside her, how about it? Are you ready to cooperate? I don't know, Aaron smiled, but he should go to Hollywood to make a movie. Hollywood is the center of commercial films. Since he wants to resist Hollywood, he must learn the Hollywood way. After returning to the room, Aaron sat on the sofa and pulled the girl to sit in his arms. What about you? Have you thought about it? When will you go back to the United States with me? Sophie Marceau hugged the man's neck affectionately. Why don't you ask how André Zulawski and I are doing? Well, do I even need to ask? Aaron kissed Sophie Marceau on the beautiful face. Am I not better than a 50-year-old sloppy old man, a young, handsome and talented new Hollywood producer, and a Polish-American Jewish controversial genre film director? Okay, you're taking advantage of me. You have another French lover. Sophie Marceau lay on the man, Andre is going back to Poland. We have known each other for 7 years. It's normal to end the relationship, and Hollywood is the world's film center. I will eventually go and see it. However, I won't go there now. Wait for me for a while." Aaron nodded and put his hand into the girl's clothes in his arms, feeling the softness. "I'll arrange it after I go back. Then I'll call you directly, okay?" Sophie Marceau exhaled, "Carry me to the bathroom." That night, Aaron thoroughly felt the wildness of Sophie Marceau, and the charm of French women was displayed to the fullest. By the time Aaron returned to Los Angeles, it was already mid-September. Ghost also surpassed $200 million at the North American box office, with a second $38 million share of the box office proceeds deposited into Dawn's accounts. Meanwhile, because Aaron needed cash, he sold the North American video and television rights for Ghost to Columbia TriStar for $45 million in cash. Even before Ghost's overseas revenue came in, Aaron now had over $90 million in cash. He then purchased 2 luxurious villas, one in Bel Air Hills and the other in the Pacific Palisades in Santa Monica, each spending $11 million. "So big, so beautiful," said Nicole Kidman, Aaron's public woman. After visiting the set of Sleepless in Seattle, Aaron and Nicole Kidman returned to Los Angeles from Seattle for the weekend. The Palisades villas offer views of the Pacific Ocean and are close to Sunset Beach and Will Rogers State Beach. "As long as you like it," Aaron said, embracing Nicole Kidman with a doting look. "This is much more private and quiet than the small apartment in West Hollywood." Nicole Kidman has become a celebrity thanks to the success of Ghost, no longer the Hollywood nobody she once was, and needs more privacy. Nicole Kidman walked around the house, inside and out, asserting her privileges as the hostess. "I need to redecorate some areas." Nicole Kidman needs a room with a view that suits her aesthetic. "Whatever you want, let's go out for something to eat." Aaron didn't care. Nicole Kidman could decorate it however she wanted. The villa in the Bel Air community, on the other hand, was decorated in a minimalist style, which Aaron preferred. It was move-in ready. Arriving at an Italian restaurant near Sunset Beach, Nicole Kidman reminded them, the Malibu area next door just became a city. They've formed a city council and elected city council members. Malibu's a great place. Many celebrities have bought property there. It's a pretty good investment. Aaron looked north along Pacific Highway 1. Malibu was indeed newly established. With the profits from Ghost, Dawn Films was immediately energized, pouring $25 million into the production budget for Indecent Proposal. At the same time, they also gave the green light to Steven Spielberg's project, Schindler's List, with international distribution rights assigned to Universal's UIP, United International Pictures. Universal, of course, had no problem with Spielberg, only taking a 10% distribution commission on Schindler's List. Liam Neeson, in the Dawn Films offices, Aaron saw Spielberg's choice for the leading actor and had no objection. "Okay, a production budget of $20 million is not a problem. Let Spielberg make the decision on Schindler's List." Therese Beckett nodded. Director Spielberg has gone to Poland to look for a filming location. It seems that he wants to build a set on the site of the former Auschwitz concentration camp, the Polish city of Krakow. Aaron didn't care about these things. Now that the Soviet Union has almost collapsed, all the member states have declared independence. Moreover, Poland became an independent republic last year. The economic conditions are quite poor, and labor is of course extremely cheap. It would be nice to shoot Schindler's List there. Chapter 120 in front of Nicole. With Spielberg personally helming Schindler's List and Indecent Proposal being a CAA-packaged project, Aaron didn't have to worry too much. Now, besides the currently filming Sleepless in Seattle, Aaron was focusing on the Italian remake of Scent of a Woman. Of course, the most important aspect of Scent of a Woman was its lead actor, Al Pacino, and he recommended director Martin Brest to helm it. Aaron also tapped Italian director Giuseppe Tornatore to produce Scent of a Woman. At the end of September, My Own Private Idaho, a winner at the Cannes Film Festival, began its theatrical release. Dawn released the film using the same low-budget art house model, with minimal promotion and limited theaters. The premiere of My Own Private Idaho took place at the Wiltern Theater in Hollywood. Director Gus Van Sant and cast members River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves were in attendance. Stars like Nicole Kidman, Johnny Depp, Winona Ryder, and Patrick Swayze also attended the premiere. Both My Own Private Idaho and Raise the Red Lantern, recently acquired from the Venice Film Festival, will be released in this format. Whether the release can be expanded or extended depends primarily on whether the film's critical acclaim attracts audiences. Aaron had originally accompanied Nicole Kidman to the premiere, but Winona Ryder invited him to meet Francis Ford Coppola at a nearby hotel. Oh, the Bram Stoker adaptation of Dracula. I did hear Winona mention it before. Aaron had previously interacted with Coppola, having owed him a favor from the film phone booth. Francis Ford Coppola approached Ron for a partial investment in Dracula, and Aaron wasn't about to refuse. I've already negotiated with Columbia. They're willing to contribute $30 million, but the budget is $40 million, so I hope Don will invest, and I sincerely hope, Aaron, you can serve as producer and help me complete this film, Francis Ford Coppola said with a smile. Aaron nodded, no problem. Don can cover the remaining $10 million, and I'm happy to assist Mr. Coppola in completing this film. Not only was Dracula a commercial success, but director Coppola's recommendation was also crucial for Aaron's contribution. Columbia was the distributor, Francis Ford Coppola's Zoetrope Films was producing, and Dawn Films was participating in the investment. Seeing Aaron Anderson agree, Francis Ford Coppola and Winona Ryder were relieved. After all, Dawn Pictures now had its own distribution channels, and they were worried that Aaron wouldn't be willing to simply act as a film investor. The main cast of Dracula was almost confirmed, Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder as the lead actors, with Anthony Hopkins and Keanu Reeves in supporting roles. Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing, and Keanu Reeves as the heroine's fiancé. Not bad, Aaron smiled. Winona Ryder had recommended Keanu Reeves, who was quite famous in the film. Aaron, the role of the heroine's fiancé is a relatively important supporting role. I don't think Keanu Reeves is young or sexy enough, and he doesn't seem to be very attractive to girls. Francis Ford Coppola seemed a little dissatisfied with Keanu Reeves. Huh? Aaron was stunned for a moment, then glanced at Winona Ryder beside him. Isn't Keanu Reeves young and sexy enough? He's only 27, right? Much more handsome than River Phoenix. Director Coppola, Keanu did a great job in this year's action film Point Break, even as a supporting actor. He was very captivating, and Point Break grossed $43 million in North America and $83 million worldwide. Keanu has a positive impact on the film's commercial success. It was clear Francis Coppola wanted Johnny Depp for the role, but when Depp turned it down, Winona Ryder conveniently recommended Keanu Reeves, and Columbia Pictures must have been supportive. After all, Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins aren't exactly commercially influential, so adding a romantic relationship between a handsome man and a beautiful woman would be even more appealing. Besides, it was already a good thing for Keanu Reeves to take the role. He's a popular young actor after all. Francis Ford Coppola nodded. The crew will be rehearsing at the Sony Studios in Culver City. Aaron, if you have time, you can go and see them. Aaron smiled and said, of course. After the conversation, Aaron Anderson and Winona Ryder returned to the premiere party from my own private Idaho. Aaron, I didn't expect you to agree to invest so quickly. Winona Ryder was a little surprised. Aaron shook his head. I already owe director Coppola a favor. Even if he didn't come to me, someone else would have invested. Yeah, that's right, Winona Ryder agreed. Dracula will be filmed in London, Paris and other places, and director Coppola will also build several sets that meet the requirements. I also heard that a lot of investment has been made in the props of the movie. Listening to Winona Ryder's story, Aaron certainly understood that Dracula does not have any superstars. It is considered a horror film, but with a production budget of $40 million, the investment in set construction and costumes and props must be considerable. Winona, I just saw your makeup photos and you are so beautiful. Your classical costume is really amazing. No wonder director Coppola chose you to play this role, Aaron said, and couldn't help but look at Winona Ryder a few more times. Winona Ryder smiled. Aaron, why don't you wait a moment? When you get back, tell me I'm beautiful again in front of Nicole. 2 days later, Dawn Pictures signed an investment agreement with Columbia Pictures and Zoetrope Pictures to co-produce the film. Sony and Columbia are the main investors and distributors of Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Zoetrope and Dawn are a three-way collaboration. Francis Ford Coppola, as producer and director, received a $5 million advance, plus 18.5% of the film's profits. Dawn invested $10 million and also received a certain percentage of the investment returns. Aaron, as a producer, received a $1 million advance, plus subsequent post-screening bonuses and dividends. Chapter 121, Rising Water Lifts All Boats. Sleepless in Seattle earned $20 million, Indecent Proposal $25 million, and Schindler's List another $20 million. Now, with another $10 million invested in Dracula's Dracula, and Aaron having purchased 2 villas outright, Dawning only has $5 million left in cash. Fortunately, Ghost surpassed $220 million at the North American box office, earning the remaining $7.6 million in North American box office revenue. Meanwhile, with a 25% share of the $280 million overseas box office, Dawning earned $70 million. Combined with revenue from the video market and television rights, Dawning earned $100 million. After deducting exchange rates and other expenses, overseas sales brought Dawning a profit of $85 million. Of course, Ghost's impressive success earned director Edward Zwick, Kevin Costner, Nicole Kidman, and the rest of the creative staff, including David Geffen, a combined $12 million in post-screening bonuses. In Beverly Hills, Aaron and Jack Wells walked into a car dealership. "Jack, take whatever car you like." "Really? Then I want a Lamborghini." Jack Wells smiled and went straight to choose his car. Even though he'd already earned nearly $1 million this year, he was still excited to spend Aaron's money. Aaron waved his hand. "Take any." Then, Aaron suddenly saw a new Japanese car. "Hey, is that a new Mazda?" The clerk smiled. "Yes, Mazda just launched the new RX-7 this year." It's a big change. As a small sports car, the Mazda RX-7 is selling well in the United States. Well, Japanese cars are selling well all over the world now. "Another Japanese car?" Jack Wells shook his head. "Aaron, even if you don't like American cars, you should like European cars." With Aaron's current status, he could choose something like this without any hesitation. Aaron didn't care. "That's fine, as long as we're not stuck in traffic. They say driving a Mazda is considered racing, but driving a Rolls-Royce isn't?" That evening, at the 42 Club in Hollywood, Aaron sat on the sofa with Salma Hayek in his arms, enjoying the tenderness. "Did you get the notice from the crew for Sleepless in Seattle?" "Yes, I'll be going to Seattle soon to film." Salma Hayek was delighted. She had a small role in Sleepless in Seattle. Although it was only a few minutes, she had her face in lines. Finally, she had taken her first step. "Well, at least it's a job. I'll get you an agent later so you can get some work to practice." After all, being Latina, there weren't many roles suitable for her. Salma Hayek's eyes flickered. "Let's go, Aaron." Aaron nodded. "Let's go." With a huge sum of money in hand, Aaron finally set his sights on Microsoft stock. In June of this year, Microsoft conducted another stock split, its third. Unlike the previous two, which were 2-for-1 splits, this time, Microsoft split 3-for-2. Currently, Microsoft's share price is around $85, with a market capitalization of $19 billion. Aaron immediately founded a private investment firm, Cheyenne Hay Fund, and began buying Microsoft stock. By late October, Cheyenne Hay Fund had acquired nearly 600,000 shares, spending over $50 million. "Wow, I own 0.27% of Microsoft now." In his Bel Air villa, Aaron put down the phone. His heart trembled. With Microsoft's future market capitalization of $2 or $3 trillion, what would 0.27% mean? "We'll have to keep buying." Aaron smiled. The company still had over $30 million in cash for the film project Scent of a Woman. Meanwhile, the loan for The Silence of the Lambs was about to expire. But Aaron wasn't worried. Not only could he afford the Microsoft stock, but even the copyrights for the currently filming Sleepless in Seattle and the upcoming Indecent Proposal could be used to secure loans from banks. No bank would refuse Aaron Anderson's work as collateral these days. Aaron then drove his Mazda RX-7 to the Sony studios in Culver City, where Dracula was in final rehearsals. Director Francis Ford Coppola, along with actors Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves, and Anthony Hopkins, were already on set. "Aaron, I'm a little concerned about the set construction in England. I'm going to check it out myself. I'll leave the Los Angeles side to you." Francis Ford Coppola was extremely particular about the film sets, costumes, and props, and they all had to meet his exacting standards. "Don't worry, I'll be traveling to London with the crew when the time comes." Dracula was primarily filmed at London's Pinewood Studios. Francis Ford Coppola smiled. "I'm relieved to have you here. I'll also go to Paris to check out the locations, Although Roman, Michael, Charles, and others are here, I hope you can take on more of the responsibilities. Roman Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola's son, is the assistant director. Michael Apted, originally the script director, now serves as the film's producer, and Charles Mulvihill, the producer assigned by Columbia. Aaron Anderson's involvement is entirely due to his impressive track record. Ghost grossed $500 million worldwide, a truly astonishing achievement. Now, even the attention paid to Sleepless in Seattle has skyrocketed. I will. After all, Dawn invested in it, Aaron smiled. By the way, how is the film you're working on with Al going? Coppola asked about Scent of a Woman. We're still casting, but it's basically done. Filming should start soon. Winona will take a few days off to make a cameo appearance. Aaron was not only helping with the development of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but also working on his own Scent of a Woman. The budget for Scent of a Woman was $17 million, mainly due to Al Pacino's high salary. Originally, Al Pacino's salary for The Godfather, Part 3 was only $5 million, a figure he wouldn't have achieved with other films. After the success of Pretty Woman, Al Pacino's reserve price was already $5 million. Scent of a Woman was a very traditional art film, and he loved the script, so he only wanted $4.5 million. Then, Aaron entered the rehearsal room. Good morning, Aaron. The producers, the assistant director, the staff, and the actors all greeted Aaron. Good morning. With Aaron's great success, his status has also risen. Now no one dares to look down on the young Aaron Anderson. Chapter 122, Ballflower Small Supporting Role. Aaron, you're here. Keanu Reeves' My Own Private Idaho is still in theaters, and now he's working with Aaron on Dracula. The two are old acquaintances. Aaron nodded. Keanu, this is a Coppola film. You have to control yourself. He doesn't like actors being distracted during filming. Keanu Reeves is a bit of a drug addict, and Aaron definitely needs to remind him. Don't worry, I will. Keanu Reeves understands this. After all, this isn't a low-budget film like My Own Private Idaho. I heard River Phoenix auditioned too, Aaron inquired. Yet, he wasn't very lucky for my role. Keanu Reeves shook his head. Aaron smiled but said nothing. River Phoenix had a decadent air about him. His acting was certainly good, but he had no commercial hits. And, in terms of looks, he was a far cry from Johnny Depp and Keanu Reeves. Furthermore, actor Robert Redford, who starred in Indecent Proposal, lost out to Brad Pitt in the casting of the male lead in his upcoming directorial project, A River Runs Through It. It seems River Phoenix is in a bit of a bind, competing against all those top-tier handsome men. Your action performance in Point Break was great. Stay in shape. Don has an action script coming up, and I think you'd be a good fit, Aaron said, patting him on the shoulder. Action films demand a strong masculine presence. Decadent, trance-like performances are absolutely unacceptable. If Keanu Reeves refuses to listen, Aaron will look for other young actors. There are several promising young actors in the supporting role for Scent of a Woman. The summer release of Thelma and Louise received widespread acclaim, and Brad Pitt's muscular and handsome supporting role in the film garnered significant attention. Now, director Robert Redford has chosen him as the lead in his film A River Runs Through It, and he's a natural fit for Speed. Later, Aaron ran into Anthony Hopkins, the star of The Silence of the Lambs, in the break room. Oscars, The Silence of the Lambs is a horror film, so will it be favored by the Academy? Anthony Hopkins was surprised to hear Aaron mention that The Silence of the Lambs was in the running. Even though The Silence of the Lambs had already won Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor and Actress awards from both the New York and Boston film critics circles, Hopkins remains skeptical about its Oscar success. Only God knows what the outcome will be. Aaron smiled and patted the other person's shoulder. Xu Guang's works this year, whether it is Ghost or The Silence of the Lambs, are all phenomenal. The double harvest of business and word of mouth. The Academy judges will not turn a blind eye. In the dressing room, Aaron saw Winona Ryder sitting on the sofa and asked, "How do you feel about the rehearsals during this period?" "Well, it's good. Both Mr. Gary Oldman and Mr. Anthony Hopkins are actors with great acting skills, and Keanu and I are very familiar with each other, so it's not difficult to play opposite each other." Winona Ryder looked up at Aaron again and said, "I specially hired a teacher to teach tango. There will be no problem for me to guest star in Scent of a Woman." Aaron waved his hand. "It's just a simple tango scene. The main thing is to allow you to appear beautifully in the play. It feels like Brad Pitt in Thelma and Louise, but Winona Ryder doesn't need to take on such a role now. But Aaron also invited her to guest star for commercial considerations. For example, the highlight of Thelma and Louise is Brad Pitt, who has a box office of $45 million in North America. In the afternoon, the three actresses who would play Dracula's brides in Dracula's Dracula arrived on set for a makeup tryout. Aaron looked at one of them. Their profile read, Monica Bellucci, 26, Italian, model, starred in her debut film, The Stepmom, last year, with delicate features, stunning looks, a sexy, voluptuous figure, and a mature allure. This was the golden flower. Furthermore, she was introduced by assistant director Roman Capella, who discovered her while filming a L'Oréal commercial in France. And since she's Italian, playing a minor role in Dracula's Dracula was perfectly natural. Furthermore, even Billy Campbell, the star of The Rocketeer, had a minor supporting role in the film. Disney spent $35 million to produce and over $20 million on marketing and promotion, but the comic book adaptation only grossed $46 million. Billy Campbell was effectively ignored. Dawn Pictures, Office. Aaron sat in a chair, flipping through the audition list for Scent of a Woman. Matt Damon, Brendan Fraser, Ben Affleck, Chris O'Donnell, all these young people were on it. Matt Damon, in particular, was a Harvard student. Amazing. He glanced at Esther Beckett and said, I think Matt Damon is pretty good. Well, let's let director Martin Brest choose the auditions. They were all relatively unknown young actors, so it didn't matter who they were. Esther Beckett nodded, but she had already memorized Matt Damon's name. Then Aaron asked, how much did My Own Private Idaho make at the box office? Up, over $3 million. The film's release has always been small, with fewer than 200 theaters showing right now, but I estimate My Own Private Idaho will only make $6 or $7 million. Okay, Aaron shouldn't have asked that. As for Raise the Red Lantern, which just opened this month, it was definitely even lower. Okay, if Scent of a Woman is ready, let's start filming as soon as possible. After all, filming for Dracula, Bram Stoker was about to begin, and Aaron had to go to London. By Halloween, Aaron had already arrived in New York, where the climate was much colder than in Los Angeles. Sophie Marceau had finally arrived from France, and Aaron had purchased a beachfront villa in East Hampton, Long Island, to house her. This house, isn't it expensive? Sophie Marceau was surprised when Aaron brought her over. The building area was 500 square meters, with over 1,000 square meters of outdoor space. $4.5 million, not bad. Aaron hugged the girl and kissed her. Because time is a bit tight, we haven't had time to redecorate yet. You can change it to whatever style you like. The firelight from the fireplace shone on Sophie Marceau's beautiful face, revealing a smile. Aaron, are you planning to hide me? Yes, that's what I thought. Greedy. By the way, I thought you would live in Los Angeles permanently. Why do you want to stay in New York? Aaron asked, pulling Sophie Marceau to sit on the sofa. Sophie Marceau thought for a moment. My agent said New York is the center of art films in the United States, and it's also close to Quebec, Canada. Aaron hugged Sophie Marceau. Quebec, Canada, oh, the largest French-speaking region in North America. It has the largest concentration of French people and French-speaking people, and French is also the official language. Quebec is the largest province in Canada, with 80% of the population being of French descent. Montreal is the second largest French-speaking city after Paris. Aaron couldn't help but remind the other party, but dear, there are many acting opportunities in Los Angeles. Well, if I go to Los Angeles, are you going to let me live on the streets? Aaron smiled. Okay, New York and Los Angeles are both fine. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, Unrest in Hollywood. On Halloween, Disney's gangster blockbuster Billy Bathgate was released. Despite starring Oscar-winning actor Dustin Hoffman and featuring Bruce Willis, Billy Bathgate only grossed $4 million in its first 3 days of production, earning poor reviews. This $48 million blockbuster was a complete flop, another crushing failure after The Rocketeer. In the morning, the Atlantic Ocean waves crashed against the beach. Aaron sat on the sofa in his East Hampton villa on Long Island, New York, hanging up his phone. Dracula was officially starting filming in London. Sophie, Do you want to go to London? Aaron asked Sophie Marceau, who was sitting next to him flipping through a magazine. Why, are you going to Coppola's set? Sophie Marceau knew Aaron had several projects on his plate, and Dracula was directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Yet, Sophie Marceau shook her head. I've only been in the US for a few days, and I'm going to England again. Forget it, Aaron smiled. Okay, let's go to some parties in Manhattan. You should meet other filmmakers. Lately, things have been turbulent within Hollywood studios. Paramount Pictures' parent company, Gulf and Western Industries, has changed its name to Paramount Communications. Chairman Martin Davis has fired Paramount Pictures chairman Frank Mancuso, with CAA handling his salary dispute. Furthermore, Sony Pictures Entertainment co-chairman John Peters was forced to leave Sony due to ongoing scandals, while CEO Peter Guber remained. Although Sony America chairman Mickey Schulhoff has tried to protect him, it's clear that Peter Guber's trust is waning. And 20th Century Fox chairman Barry Diller has announced that he will be leaving News Corporation early next year. The man who helped Rupert Murdoch found the broadcast network Fox TV seems no longer willing to continue working for the company. That evening, Aaron and Sophie Marceau attended a large, high-end party at the Hilton New York Waldorf Astoria Hotel. The gathering included entrepreneurs, bankers, Hollywood stars, and fashion icons. Hi, Aaron, good evening. Oh, Aaron, long time no see. This is French actress Sophie Marceau. Aaron Anderson ran into Alan Horn, president of Castle Rock Pictures, which had an exclusive distribution deal with Sony Columbia. Alan Horn, along with director Rob Reiner, was the founder of Castle Rock. You're so beautiful, Miss Sophie Marceau, Alan Horn smiled. Aaron, you're so enviable. Was he envious of Aaron's female companion? Of course not. Castle Rock Pictures was founded at the same time as Dawn Pictures, only a year before Dawn. Although it had produced successful films like When Sally Met Harry, its performance was far inferior to Dawn's. The releases of Boys and the Hood, The Silence of the Lambs, and Ghost propelled Suzuki to the top of the independent film industry. Among the current independent film companies, Orion is financially shaky, Miramax is also facing difficulties, and Samuel Goldwyn has failed to compete with Suzuki for Landmark Cinemas. Only the wealthy Carlock and the successful New Line can compete with Suzuki. You're jealous of me? Aaron shook his head. Isn't Castle Rock collaborating on a movie with Tom Cruise? Rob Reiner is directing it again. Aaron was referring to A Few Good Men, a political crime film directed by Rob Reiner and starring Tom Cruise, which exposes the dark practices of the U.S. Marine Corps. A Few Good Men also had its sets built on a set in Culver City, so Aaron was aware of that. Well, yes, A Few Good Men is based on a stage play directed by Rob Reiner, and the lead actors are Tom Cruise and Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster. Aaron was stunned for a moment, but soon let it go. In the original time and space, Ghost should have been released last year, with Demi Moore as the heroine. Demi Moore was also used as the heroine of A Few Good Men. Currently, Demi Moore is filming Indecent Proposal, and as for Jodie Foster, her performance in The Silence of the Lambs was basically impeccable. Because Aaron's current status is not low, he has met many people with Sophie Marceau. Aaron, it seems that a producer wants to work with me just now, Sophie Marceau asked her lover uncertainly. Aaron nodded. Hollywood produces 400 to 500 movies every year. There are a lot of opportunities. You are one of the best European actresses after all. It's not that Hollywood movies don't need European actresses to join. It's normal to choose you. However, Aaron also discovered that Sophie Marceau should be regarded as a European sexy vase. Sophie Marceau thought for a while. This time, I came to Hollywood, and the agency I cooperated with is ICM. You were CAA's agent before. ICM should not be as good as CAA, right? Aaron kissed the girl on the face. It doesn't matter. CAA is indeed the overlord among the current agencies, but ICM is not bad either, and their international business is better. Besides, with me here, you will definitely be able to gain a foothold in Hollywood. Yeah, I believe this, Sophie Marceau said, looking at Aaron Anderson. After all, your Australian actress Nicole Kidman is soaring now. However, there is still a difference. Australia is an English-speaking country, and Sophie Marceau is French, so it is much more difficult. Okay, first you need to familiarize yourself with the Hollywood film industry, improve your English, and try out some small projects. I'll also help you find a suitable script as soon as possible. Sophie Marceau, though French, was no newcomer and already had considerable fame in France and Europe. Her fame was far greater than Nicole Kidman's when she first arrived in Hollywood, and far greater than Salma Hayek and Monica Bellucci's. With Aaron Anderson's current connections, it shouldn't be a problem for him to recommend a few roles for Sophie Marceau, especially since she had the confidence to do so. Looking at Sophie Marceau, Aaron naturally thought of Monica Bellucci. After all, they were two European beauties, the French kiss and the Italian muse. Aaron was soon heading to London to film Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it seemed Monica Bellucci wasn't joining the crew anytime soon. It seemed a shame he wouldn't be able to see her this time. Chapter 124 You Hate Him. November, Aaron arrived at Pinewood Studios in Buckinghamshire, England. Located northwest of London, they were filming the film Dracula, Dracula's Dracula. Cut, 15-minute break. Winona, come here. Francis Ford Coppola frowned, halting filming and calling Winona Ryder over to say something. Aaron and co-producer Michael Apted stood nearby and both noticed the problem. The lead actress and actress weren't chemistry. There was a sense of distance between Winona Ryder and Gary Oldman, who played Count Dracula. What's going on? Weren't they doing so well in rehearsal? Aaron shook his head. It wasn't going well right after the start of filming. Michael Apted spread his hands. It seems like there's a conflict between them. Aaron looked over to where Francis Ford Coppola was talking to Winona Ryder. They're both professional actors, they should be able to adjust quickly. Michael Apted nodded and looked at Aaron again. By the way, I heard you say you'd support Spielberg on Schindler's List. How's that going? Oh, it's about to start shooting. Director Spielberg has already gone to the Polish set. Aaron explained that Schindler's List was safe, but Scent of a Woman had slowed down again. This was mainly because lead actor Al Pacino wanted to start filming after the new year. Last month, the romantic film Frankie and Johnny, starring him and Michelle Pfeiffer, was released to poor performance. In just over a month, it only grossed $20 million. He was also reshooting scenes for another film, Tycoon Game. A few days later, Dracula was back on track, thanks to director Francis Ford Coppola relegating some intimate scenes between Winona Ryder and Gary Oldman to the backstory. That day, Aaron suddenly received a call from Spielberg. Aaron, I'm in New York. Oh, you're in New York? Aren't we on the Krakow set in Poland? Aaron asked, puzzled. Well, I was originally planning to film at Auschwitz, and I even got permission. However, I received a letter from the Jewish Council advising me not to disturb the rest of the dead, so I'm planning to build a concentration camp near Auschwitz for filming. I'm guessing it'll add $1 million to the budget. Aaron stuck out his tongue. I see. No problem. I'll have Dawn cover it. It's really not suitable to film at the real Auschwitz, the dead are already at rest. It's really inconvenient, thank you, Aaron. Spielberg had flown back specifically to apologize to the Jewish community and would soon be returning to Poland to select a site for the filming. That's what I have to do. After hanging up, Aaron shook his head. Fortunately, it was Poland. Building a concentration camp wasn't expensive, and the labor costs weren't expensive either. Spielberg said it would cost over $1 million, so that would probably add nearly $2 million to the budget, and rebuilding the camp would take time. In the afternoon, Aaron left the set and prepared to leave for London. Aaron, are you going back to London? Winona Ryder approached Aaron outside the studio. Yeah, are you going over too? Well, could you buy me a drink? Of course. Aaron stayed at the Savoy Hotel on London's Westminster Strand, with a view of the Thames. Aaron sat down with Winona Ryder at a nearby bar and ordered a beer. By the way, are you Jewish too? Yes, of Soviet Jewish descent, but I'm not a believer, Winona Ryder explained. Aaron nodded. There were so many people of Jewish descent in Hollywood. But how many of them were actually believers? I heard that you invested in Spielberg's Holocaust movie Schindler's List. That's great, Aaron smiled. Well, remember to make a cameo appearance in my movie Scent of a Woman for a few days next year. The film won't start shooting until next year. Don't worry, you've helped me a lot on this crew, and I will repay you. Aaron looked at Winona Ryder. You seem to hate Gary Oldman. There aren't many intimate scenes between you, just hugging and kissing, right? Stars, what kind of intimate scenes are these? Winona Ryder's face wrinkled. Well, he made a dirty and over-the-top joke earlier, and I was really disgusted. Also, I think his acting style is too intense and risky, but don't worry, I don't want to talk to him during breaks. I'll be ready when we're ready. Indeed, during breaks, Winona Ryder would stay away from Gary Oldman, chatting with her assistant or with other people. Of course, The person she would talk to most often was Aaron Anderson, but Aaron wasn't always on set. "Aaron, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Are you going back to the States?" Winona Ryder suddenly asked. Aaron shook his head. "I won't be back in the States until next month. It's Oscar season, and Dawn has some events coming up. You won't be on set for much next year, will you?" Aaron tilted his head. "Right. Nothing important, so I won't be coming. The crew's pretty much done with everything they need to do." "Sadie told me you were originally blonde, right?" Sadie Frost is the British actress who plays the best friend of the heroine, played by Winona Ryder. "Yeah, but I don't like it. The color in Edward Scissorhands is my natural color. Hollywood's stereotype of blondes has always been sexy and silly. Blondes are stupid." Winona Ryder smiled. "Well, Aaron, Sadie Frost is sexy and beautiful, and she's British. Doesn't that appeal to you?" Which woman on the crew wouldn't want to have something to do with Aaron Anderson? Aaron waved his hand casually. "I'm not a casual person. Let's go. Let's go out for a walk." London's Thanksgiving activities are quite lively. Disney's animated feature film Beauty and the Beast seems to have a good reputation again. The movie poster at the door of the Savoy Theatre attracted Winona Ryder. Yet, the box office is not bad either. The opening performance in North America is $12 million. After 10 days of release, it has accumulated $26 million, Aaron said, but his eyes were looking at the poster of another movie, The Addams Family, which was also released in the United States last week. It opened with $24 million in the first weekend, and now it has $55 million. It started to be released in the UK this week. Paramount really made a good deal. Orion sold 2 blockbuster works to other companies this year. The Silence of the Lambs made them sad, and now there is another The Addams Family? Aaron, what are you laughing at? Winona Ryder suddenly noticed Aaron Anderson's lips curled up. These 2 movies weren't produced by Dawn, so why was he so happy? "Oh, nothing, just thought of something funny." Orion's luck was either good or bad. Then, Aaron headed straight to the square nearby, where several people were performing. Chapter 125 English Rose. In the early morning hours, beneath a grey London sky, a gloomy atmosphere enveloped the entire city. In a room at the Savoy Hotel, on the Thames River, Winona Ryder sat on her bed, scratching her hair. "I knew I'd be tempted to sleep with you," Aaron smiled, then rolled over, pressing himself against the petite woman. "What's wrong? You weren't like that last night." A long kiss ensued. "Okay, Aaron, wasn't last night enough?" After the kiss, Winona Ryder patted the man on her breathing erratic. "What do you think? I've been in London for so long, and I haven't had any other women," Aaron whispered, caressing the woman. "Okay, I'm getting ready to go back to the crew. I've had enough rest these past 2 days. You should be going back home, right?" Yeah. "If you can't bear to leave, I can stay a few more days." After Thanksgiving, December quickly arrived. But Aaron didn't return home immediately. Instead, he stayed in London for a few days. Polygram Films is headquartered there, suggesting there might be opportunities for further collaboration. At the Dorchester Hotel in Mayfair, with Christmas approaching, various Christmas celebrations were taking place across London. At the Dorchester Hotel party, Michael Kuhn of Polygram Films and Aaron were chatting. Their collaboration, My Own Private Idaho, although only grossed $6.4 million, was a modest profit thanks to its low budget, and the film received positive reviews and possessed considerable artistic value. Not only did it win River Phoenix Best Actor at the Venice Film Festival, but My Own Private Idaho has also become a defining work of the new queer cinema. "Aaron, your progress is remarkable," Michael Kuhn expressed his envy of Dawn's achievements this year. "Polygram is also quite good, winning a major award at the Cannes Film Festival so quickly. After all, Barton Fink won the Palme d'Or." Aaron smiled, completely impressed by the Kuhn brothers' performance. Michael Kuhn stepped forward and patted Aaron on the shoulder. "Enjoy the party." A little later, Aaron ran into the young British actor Hugh Grant. The British film industry was in a slump, and developing local actors wasn't doing well. The handsome Hugh Grant seemed to have just finished filming Bitter Moon, the erotic film by French-Jewish director Roman Polanski. After a quick chat, Hugh Grant's girlfriend arrived. A tall, beautiful, and sultry British beauty, Elizabeth Hurley, a top British model and now also an actress, arrived. "Mr. Anderson, good evening. You look so young." Elizabeth Hurley smiled and hugged Aaron. "Ghost is so moving, thank you." Ms. Hurley is beautiful too. Grant is so lucky, Aaron replied with a smile. Really? There are a lot of beautiful women in the UK. Can I call you Aaron? Yes, of course, Aaron, if you want, I can introduce you to a few. Thank you, Aaron nodded, his eyes looking not far away. There was a sexy black-haired beauty there. Unlike ordinary Western beauties, she had the temperament of a classical beauty from both the East and the West. Her eyes were bright and sparkling, her nose was high, her features were delicate, and she combined sexiness and charm. Who is that? Elizabeth Hurley took a look and smiled. The young British star, Catherine Zeta-Jones, the protagonist of the TV series Mayflower, is very popular. Mayflower, a family comedy series broadcast in the UK this year, made the sexy and beautiful Catherine Zeta-Jones a British idol. Really? The ratings of Mayflower in the UK are quite high. Elizabeth Hurley nodded. Well, he just starred in the British-American co-production of the biographical film Christopher Columbus, and he worked with Marlon Brando. Interesting. Aaron certainly knew Christopher Columbus, a movie produced by Warner Brothers, although it was not as famous as the similar work 1492, The Conquest of Paradise, co-produced by Gaumont and Paramount and directed by Ridley Scott, but with an investment of $40 million. It was not a small movie. After Aaron Anderson left, Hugh Grant sighed. It's amazing, he achieved such results at the age of 21. Elizabeth Hurley also sighed. Who says it's not? Another Hollywood upstart. He must have set his sights on Catherine Zeta-Jones. Hugh Grant didn't care, with his current identity and status, plus he's young, handsome and talented, all women are looking forward to meeting him. Elizabeth Hurley smiled. Catherine had a brief relationship with Hollywood filmmaker John Peters before. I don't know how it went. John Peters, co-CEO of Sony Pictures Entertainment, was fired 2 months ago. Catherine Zeta-Jones made her debut in the French fantasy romance 1001 Nights last year. This year, by chance, she met Hollywood's John Peters and got a small supporting role in Christopher Columbus, Discovering the New World. Perhaps realizing John Peters wasn't helping her career, coupled with the constant scandals and Sony firing, Catherine Zeta-Jones decisively left. Meanwhile, Aaron Anderson, after approaching Catherine Zeta-Jones, unsurprisingly won her over. Aaron, are you in England for the movies? Sitting on the sofa, Catherine Zeta-Jones gazed at the man with a piercing gaze. Yes, Coppola's 400 Years in the Life was filmed at Pinewood Studios last year. Dawn is one of the investors, and I'm also a producer. Aaron sized up Catherine Zeta-Jones. She was indeed sexy, with an oriental charm distinct from Sophie Marceau and Winona Ryder. I know this movie. It stars Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder and others. Catherine Zeta-Jones herself didn't have many roles in Christopher Columbus, Discovering the New World, and she was unknown in Hollywood, but if she could meet Aaron Anderson, one of the hottest producers in Hollywood right now, that would be different. Aaron shook Catherine's hand and said, do you know if there are any good bars nearby? I'd like to invite you for a drink. Is there a chance? Catherine Zeta-Jones blinked and said, there are many good bars here. I'll take you there, soon. Catherine Zeta-Jones left the party with Aaron Anderson. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.